You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent Austen Show.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the University of North Florida. We're hanging out at the pickleball courts today. Brand new pickleball courts here at UNF, which the students can use. And going on to our right, we've got men's tennis practice because those guys are in the NCAA tournament heading to Tallahassee to play in a regional with the likes of UCF Florida and Florida State. Obviously, that one's a pretty regional event. We'll have Matt Lucas back on the show. Fun talking ball with him and tennis, too. He talks football as well. Beach volleyball, a big deal over here, as they're headed to the NCAA tournament up in Alabama. As a 16 seed, they will play coming up on Friday against Chattanooga. So we are hanging out outside on a beautiful day here in the end of April. May turns the calendar. Tomorrow's going to be a monster May in Jacksonville. I've been trying to warn you about that. Might even be more fun than what we just had in April with all the draft conversation. Brent Martineau Austen Lane will be here momentarily. Once he finds it, he's right there making his way over here. And we've got Rob, who still doesn't have a nickname, back there in the Action Sports Jax 24/7 studios, pushing the buttons. Hope you were able to join Miller and Moulton this morning. Brand new show on our Action Sports Jax 24/7 network as we have that going now. So more content coming. I've been promising you that. We've been promising you that. And that will continue, including tomorrow. NASCAR Cup date with Stuart Weber, and then a week with Action Sports Jax with Olivia Tassley. That's 1 and 1:30, and no gate fees presented by Nimnick Buick GMC coming up tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Talking high school baseball and softball as we are in the district playoffs now in that arena. So we have a bunch coming here to the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network, including Austen Lane, who is here now on the Brent and Austen Show and ready to go and play some pickleball. Did you bring your paddles?
Man, no, I didn't bring my paddles. Apparently there's more than one tennis court here at UNF, so I went to the wrong one, but we're all good now.
Really?
Yeah.
There's multiple.
By the dorms. So don't put in tennis courts UNF in ways and see what happens, because yeah, didn't work out too well for me, Brent.
Wow. By the way, we're going to start this show off probably momentarily in a couple of minutes with some big Jags news and some that I'm not sure anybody's expecting. So that's my little teaser for you coming up in just a little bit. So hang on to that, and I got a feeling we're going to be hopping a little bit more than we anticipated today. But
as in like some pretty big news on Twitter, or? Are they going to release something?
I think they might release something coming soon. So getting some word on that, we will see how it shakes out. I don't want to jump the gun on it. Okay?
Okay. Wait, man.
But we will see what happens.
Now, is this from a legitimate source? Is from the guy from Twitter who pretty Ricky?
I don't think this is a pretty Ricky moment. In fact, it might. I've been setting up the show, so I'm not even sure. It might even be already leaked out there and out there. Maybe it is.
Okay.
I'm looking real quick, but I don't see it. Anyway, it'll come in a moment. One thing we want to do on the show today is you take a look at the draft and you're like, hey, who could they have had instead of who they picked, right?
Yeah,
we did this with Jared Verse in the first round, but what about a guy like Chris Jenkins, say, in the second round from Michigan, who went right after Mason Smith, who's a little bit more of a project. So I think that will be it'll be kind of a fun little deal to see, okay, could they have gone here? Could they have gotten edge? Could they have gotten a guy that might be more of a star? And I think they probably do that too. I mean, you get measured about guys that you passed up on and also the guys that you hit on.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you're a GM, obviously you have your draft and, the board shakes out how you want it to shake out. But then, like, if I'm a GM, I'm going to do, the hindsight 2020 draft, Brent. Like, you have to.
Yeah.
And, I'm very curious to see in terms of, like, what you think in terms of where they could have gone. I have a few players I think they could have gotten instead of who they actually selected, but also some of the guys that they got, I'm not upset with, So you have to take the stuff with what you have, the stuff what you probably need in terms of a draft need. And yeah, I've take a couple different players and everything, but we'll see how it shakes out.
Hey, listen, you can do this every year, right?
Yes.
You can say, hey, we should have had this guy. I mean, that's the nature of it. And every team can. That's not just the Jags. The way you solve that is you pick the right guy. Like, your guys work out. And listen, are you going to go 8 for 8 or whatever it is? Probably not. But if you can get even a 50% hit rate that are real good contributors, and then you get your kicker and your special teams guy helping out too, like, that's fine. That's been the problem overall. That's like what we like about the 2021 class. You've got star potential in that draft. You also have depth potential in that draft. If you look at the first 5 guys that were picked, they've all helped this football team out pretty substantially over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all about, like, in terms of those later round picks, like, yeah, you don't expect them to come in right away and make a difference. But you look at the great teams in the NFL, they get impact from their 4th round picks. They get impact from their 5th round picks. So that could be every single, late round pick, but every once in a while there's a guy that comes along that makes a difference. Telvin Smith for a while was that guy. And then obviously he had some off the field problems, and it is what it is now. But I just feel like, yeah, the first, second, third rounds, of course, they're going to have contributions to your team. That's expected. But the great GMs can find that hidden depth, in the 5th and 6th round and have that major contribution.
All right, a couple other topics we're just touch on right now, but we'll probably go a little deeper on later on in the show. Is the Jags offense going to be the identity of this football team? Because their defense, they got a new play caller, obviously, a new coordinator. I think we already know its identity. It's going to be an aggressive defense. It's nice to know what they're going to be. Yeah. And they also have spent a lot there. I mean, to bring in Eric Armstead, to do what they just did in the draft, the defensive-heavy draft.
Yeah.
Are we going to look up and be like, well, this is more of a balanced team? Or, no, this is the offensive identity. This is Doug. This is Trevor. This is what we are. We're going to go score 27, 28, 30, 32. Come on and catch us if you can.
Yeah, when I think back of that Eagles run with Doug Peterson, the Super Bowl, I mean, their defense built them on a lot, especially, when Nick Foles came in and everything, Carson Wentz went down. But it was still an offensive identity just because your leader, your head coach, is an offensive guy. So, like, the way that I see this team coming up for this up-and-coming year, yeah, you have Ryan Nielsen. He's going to show that identity of, being smash mouth, more physical, more in your face. But this team's engine, this team's identity, what this team's going to go, whether you win games or lose games, is going to come down to Trevor Lawrence, this offense. So while I think the defense gets an upgrade, it's still going to be an offensive first team here in Jacksonville.
All right, so here it is. The Jags just released Zay Jones, Jaguars wide receiver. So there's the news of the day.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I know you. I think this is a little bit of a problem we have in Jacksonville. We're like, screw Zay. Like, we're good. Like, this is a guy that has a lot of depth. You're saving $4 million. Like, he can still get the job done, in my opinion. I value Zay more than others people. I know your view is, hey, where's he going to even play? Like, let him go. They're doing right by the guy, most likely. But, I mean, try to do right by the football team. I know they needed some more help at wide receiver last year, even though we thought they were 7 deep when the season started at wide receiver.
Yeah.
So this surprises me this early. Again, I always think that he has a very good relationship with Trevor. I know that doesn't change everything. You think Gabe Davis, Zay Jones, very much alike, and this might be an indication that they are.
Yeah.
But the Jaguars just lose a guy who had a career year a couple years ago, and it was a big part of, I think, the development of Trevor Lawrence over the last couple of years.
Yeah, obviously when Zay Jones was healthy, he obviously made a big difference to this team, and I think Calvin Ridley kind of got a boost when Zay Jones came back a little bit. Now, when you bring in Gabe Davis, a guy who I feel can do a lot of the same things, you kind of get, you're kind of the odd man out, if you will. And then Brian Thomas Jr. was kind of the writing on the wall for me. So I'm not surprised at all. I mean, I guess really the only thing I'm maybe surprised about a little bit is the fact you couldn't get any capital for him whatsoever.
Yeah,
but
it's $11 million hit. And again, I think the dead money versus what you actually save is like, so the Jags now even have more money on the cap.
Yeah.
Like, they've still got plenty of money on the cap, but they do lose $11 million off that.
Yeah, but my whole point is, I mean, there's a team out there right now that needs a Zay Jones.
Probably, yeah.
And I mean, could you have got a 6th round, 7th? I mean, once again, do you even want that anymore? Because we have so many of those teams like year in and year out. So maybe not, but he'll catch on someplace else. I just think here, and you have guys like Parker Washington who are young, you still want to get a good look at as well. So I just didn't think he fit anymore when you drafted your first round receiver, and it is what it is from Zay Jones.
So you're not surprised at all?
No, not at all. I mean, the only thing I'm surprised about a little bit is the fact you couldn't get anything for him. But once again, I don't really know the market right now for a 2 or a 3 wide receiver.
Yeah, I'm not surprised they didn't get anything.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not. That doesn't surprise me.
I thought we had some off the field issues coming down the pipe or something, Brent.
Well, look, I honestly, I think this is bigger news than more other people think. In a lot of ways, I think it's bigger news because I didn't see it coming right away. Basically, They cut Joey Sly too. So this is another move they made. So they're basically saying, hey, Cam Little, this is your job as kicker.
How long was Joey Sly here for?
I don't even think he hit the practice field. But, the Jags signed a bunch of undrafted free agents, and as I look at their full list, a lot of people know the names by now that if you're really locked in on this, 4 wide receivers they're bringing in as undrafted free agents. They do have Parker Washington. They do have guys like Elijah Cook still there. They've got obviously the Gabe Davises and the Christian Kirks, and getting Brian Thomas Jr. So what I guess I don't understand is this more of a move to say, hey, we're going to do business right by Zay, or we just don't need him. Like, it's just not going to factor in. We don't need him. We'll save a few bucks here or there. We just upgraded from Zay Jones in the draft and free agency.
Yeah, exactly. And Zay Jones wasn't going to be a starting wide receiver. So he was more than likely, unless an injury occurred, was going to be on the bench. And yeah, I get you want to keep guys for depth purposes, and that's fine and everything. But I mean, I feel like this is more of doing right by Zay Jones than anything. Where it's like, if you can't contribute here, go contribute someplace else. Because when he got here, there was no issues. There's no off-field issues. Seemed like a really great teammate, and obviously Trevor Lawrence liked him a lot as well. Now one could think, how is Trevor Lawrence affected by this? Does he feel a certain type of way about it, or does he understand sometimes it's the nature of the business? Nevertheless, I think you're doing right by Zay Jones now by letting him go catch on a different team where you can actually get some playing time.
Yeah, I do think the Trevor part of this on Zay, I do think they're relatively tight. I don't know how tight. I think him and Christian Kirk might have even a tighter relationship. I mean, it's a
tightness rankings, Brent.
I feel like we're
Trevor Lawrence the tightest with.
We're like in middle school right here, right? Who are you hanging out with? But I do think they had a good relationship, and I think to me the relationship off the field is one thing. I think the relationship on the field was one of trust, right? And what we saw last year was a little lack of trust, especially by the end of the year. But Calvin Ridley, there wasn't always that trust factor. And then by the end of the year, Parker Washington, a new guy getting in the mix, no trust. You just didn't know where the guy was going to be. You can kind of sense it in the play. Zay just lost a year because of injury, but you could tell their offense was better and kind of clicked a little bit more when he was on the field, and it felt like there was a little bit more giddy up and confidence and fast play from Trevor when a guy like him was on the field. So, I mean, listen, that's the job every year. You got to go replace that. You got to go build the rapport. He's going to do that with Gabe Davis now. He's going to do that with Brian Thomas Jr. So by the time they get to September and October and just keeps getting better and better, that they're on the same page.
Yeah, I mean, are you surprised just from the standpoint of you thought he would make it through training camp, or you thought just another body? Because you seem more surprised than a lot of people, you were saying.
Yeah, I have to go on last year where they needed more receiver help at the end of the day. The guys that we thought are coming out and everybody gets all excited about in camp, the Elijah Cooks and stuff, which are fine and they're nice stories. But even Parker Washington, those guys weren't reliable players. Parker Washington had some nice catches. He had 16 catches, I think, in the last however many weeks. But he also ran wrong routes, and you could tell he wasn't on the same page. At the end of the day, they were without Zay Jones and Christian Kirk, and they had to rely on Evan Ingram mostly. Calvin Ridley ended up getting the benefit, but even there it was disjointed. So as you bring in Brian Thomas Jr., as you bring in Gabe Davis, these are going to be newcomers. I think they're veteran. Gabe especially is a veteran guy that will get on the same page pretty quick. But I just like the chemistry. I like the continuity. I liked having the Kirks and the Ingrams and the Zay Jones part of it. And I felt like at the end of the day last year, you needed 4 or 5 deep at wide receiver. So it was okay to have that guy. Again, benefit of the football team. To me, with the money situation the way it is, keep Zay Jones. He's not going to be a bad teammate. He understands it. He's a veteran. Benefit of the business, maybe with conversations like, Zay, we're going to do right by you, give you an opportunity to go play. I understand that too.
But this is the same situation of Walker Little, Brent. And you say Walker Little, if you're not going to play him, if you're not going to start him, if you're going to waste his time, then get rid of him. I mean, this falls in line with the Zay Jones thing, even more with Zay Jones, just because Zay Jones has the resume. Zay Jones has been a starter for a while in the NFL. He has NFL starting experience. And to say, all right, man, you're going to probably sit in the pine a little bit until an injury. I mean, I don't think you're doing right by him, as opposed to Walker Little, who is more of a younger guy who hasn't had a lot of start. I mean, he has some starting experience, but nothing to the attributes of Zay Jones. And you're saying, well, get rid of Walker Little.
Okay, so then let's go put that hat on.
Okay.
Will they get rid of Walker Little? They just drafted a swing tackle.
Yeah.
I know it's in the 4th round. It wasn't like the high pick of Brian Thomas or the $13 million investment of a Gabe Davis, but business-wise, team-wise, draft-wise, if you marry that all together, I got to believe, to me, Walker Little, and I'm not trying to paint Walker Little as a bad guy here, because I don't think he is, and I don't know him well enough. I don't know that dynamic. I would just say, if I'm Team Walker Little, I'm like probably the most unhappy player in that locker room.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if I'm Team Walker Little, I'm getting a back injury. I'm doing something, man. I'm trying to get out of Jacksonville. I'm trying to play. I agree with you here. But if I'm the Jacksonville Jaguars and I have depth at my disposal, I mean, sorry, man. You're not going anywhere unless something wants to offer you something. I mean, especially where they drafted him as well. Like, don't you think this weighs on Trent Baalke a little? I mean, Trent Baalke was responsible for or was an Urban Meyer pick. We don't.
Yeah, I think it was a Trent Baalke pick,
okay.
but yeah. But
we don't know for sure. But nevertheless.
He might have an attachment there.
Yeah, but nevertheless, I mean, if I'm Trent Baalke, I have some sort of responsibility of bringing Walker Little here. And I feel like if you just let him go, if you just let him walk, then what is that saying about that draft class?
Yeah, I mean, that was part of the 2021 draft class. I mean, I would argue that Walker Little has been a huge part of this organization the last couple of years. Like, I really would. I don't think they make the playoffs without him coming in for Cam Robinson in 2022.
Sure.
I think he gave them a bunch of flexibility. I think he gave them a bunch of options. And again, how they look at him as right tackle, I never really looked at him as a guard. But left tackle, I think he's perfectly fine. He filled in admirably for Cam in the start of this past year. They were fine there with Cam. With Walker Little. So I think the difference here between a Zay Jones and a Walker Little is $11 million versus a rookie deal.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But I think the business side of it is like, okay, what are you doing with this guy? Like, are you just stocking him on a shelf?
Yeah.
And that's what they could have eventually done, really, with Zay Jones, not found a place for him. And I mean, I don't think they're going to move from Walker Little. I don't think they should. But I could see why Walker Little might ask.
No, I mean, listen, if I'm Walker Little or Walker Little's camp right now, it's like, yeah, make something happen because I deserve to be a starter in this league. I think I have the skill set to do that, all of that. Now, if I'm the Jacksonville Jaguars, what am I going to say? I'm going to say, Walker, you're a depth player right now. You have a chance to earn a starting spot in training camp because you always got to dangle that starting spot in front of every single player. So they practice hard and they're serviceable. But at the end of the day, I mean, once again, you're on your rookie contract, so you're here until further notice.
One other interesting note on the Zay Jones side, at least for now. And again, if you're just catching in, Zay Jones cut by the Jags, Joey Sly as well, the kicker, which makes room for Cam Little, which makes room for Brian Thomas, which makes room for Gabe Davis. Those kind of moves makes room for 4 undrafted free agents on the roster as well. Yeah. Does it make room for Jarvis Landry, who's working out with the team in a couple of weeks?
I mean, it could. Obviously, probably take a giant look at Jarvis Landry, but once again, I feel like Jarvis Landry is a guy who stays in the slot. And you have a slot receiver right now in Christian Kirk. Now, whether it's a depth play, maybe you want to take a look at him. But like I see Jarvis Landry right now, if you bring him on the team, it's going to be a camp body, a serviceable camp body. And, if he has a miraculous comeback and shines in the preseason, possibly making the roster. But I don't see him anything more than right now just trying to make a team for camp.
How do you like the Jags receiving core after Brian Thomas, after Christian Kirk, after Gabe Davis? Does it matter? Does that matter to you? Does it like you got the 3 guys? Obviously, you got Ingram and you got ETN. Those are your 5 guys. Are you just? I mean, you got to hope for health anyway, or does that depth matter? Who else they have? It's Parker Washington and some of these young guys. I mean, Tim Jones. I think they re-signed Tim Jones, if I'm not mistaken. So there's another familiar face. Are those guys enough?
At the end of the day, Brent, I feel like this. If you have, 4 serviceable, I say serviceable, 4 pretty damn good, I think, and we'll see with Brian
receiving
Thomas
Jr. options,
Yeah, but I mean, I was going to say 4 weapons, and then, you're going to add Brian Thomas Jr. to that, but I'm throwing Travis Etienne in the mix as well. I mean, not a lot of teams can say that right now in the league. So I'm happy with what they have. I think you go look around the league, any team that has depth at wide receiver, where if a receiver goes down, you got to call him up. So now you have your 4th string or your 4th wide receiver in there. I mean, he could be serviceable, but not a lot of teams like their 4th wide receivers. I'm not sure how to feel about Jacksonville's, but at the end of the day, if we're talking about the starters right now, yeah, I like what they have because they have a little bit of everything. You have your tight end, you have your wide receiver, you have your running back. So I think where it sits right now, I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, I'm okay. Listen, I don't want to sound like this, like, oh my gosh, I don't have Zay Jones. It's just, I don't know. I feel a certain way about the Zay Jones thing, and I don't know. I kind of explained myself why. Steve Boston just said in a comment, and this is a fair comment, he, as a fourth receiver, really holds no special teams value either. Mm-hmm. He's not much of a special teams guy. But so, listen, I get it. It's part of the business. I'm not sitting here and saying I can't believe it. In fact, if you really want to piece it together, it's probably a good move on a lot of fronts. You give him a chance to go. You clear out the room a little bit so you don't have any clunkiness at all. And then you also... This move actually, in a way, corresponds with the report and the move that Landry is going to be on the field in May with the Jags, because let's just say he looks good. Sure. You can keep him for like $1 million, like a veteran minimum type of deal, or you sign him to something very cheap. Like it's not going to be it's going to be a show me type thing for Landry. Let's just say it comes out roses and looks good and you wanted to use it. And again, we think kind of bigger name than game, most likely.
Right now.
But maybe he's not that different from Zay Jones for $10 million cheaper on the books.
I mean, maybe. And once again, it's just a thing with me. I feel like Landry is more of just that slot guy, Brent. So, he's not really a jack of all trades. You're not going to put him on the outside. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Landry in the past has had some success, as an X or anything. But, when I remember Jarvis Landry, I remember him in Miami, and I remember him in Cleveland, was predominantly from the slot. And when you have, a slot specialist, we can call it, that's great and everything. And yes, Christian Kirk can move to the outside, but I think Christian Kirk has benefited from playing in the slot. Yeah. So you kind of have a guy who fits in one box. Now, can he fit in that box and play at a very high level? Possibly. And would it be worth keeping him? Maybe. But I think it's going to be really hard to make a team, make a final 53 if you can do one thing really well. And that's about it at wide receiver.
Yeah, I would say this about the slot versus, I just think these guys feel so interchangeable. Now, I understand they have their, where's Kirk best lined up? In the slot, right? Landry might be the same way. Parker Washington might be the same way.
But we've seen Kirk play the outside, too, and have some moderate success.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can say the same thing about Jarvis Landry. Once again, maybe I'm completely off base here, but I just feel like Landry's primarily a slot guy.
It's probably where you remember him. But I guess my view is right now we've got Brian Thomas on the outside. Mm-hmm. When I talked to him on Friday, he kind of indicated, I'll be able to move all over the place. I just think that's the nature of the game now. I think these guys, look at CeeDee Lamb, right? You look at him and he's all over the place and actually works best from the slot. And I don't know. I just think all these guys, sure, you have specific skill sets. I want Kirk on the slot in the red zone. I think, he knows how to manage that area very well. That's where his strength is. But I think you can also put these guys in other spots. And I think Zay was an example of that, too, for the Jags. I think you could line them up kind of all over the place. Yeah,
but it isn't the conversation we've had with this team for a long time now, especially with draft picks, is, okay, you draft guys, put them in different spots where they're not the best at, and watch what happens.
Yeah.
If I'm Doug Peterson, if I'm Press Taylor, and I have these wide receivers, I'm going to put these wide receivers in the best spot where they can succeed. And to me, that's Christian Kirk in the slot. That's going to be Brian Thomas. He says he likes, running that fly out of the slot, and that's fine. And maybe you interchange him there every once in a while. But Brian Thomas, you play on the outside. And obviously, Gabe Davis, we know what you do well. Outside, big plays, go routes, go get it.
So basically, Spotrac says this: the release of Zay Jones and Sly frees up $5.2 million of cap space, $9.3 in cash for the Jags in 2024. So if I'm not mistaken, you've got now some $35 million in cap space here in Jacksonville in 2024. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's great.
Jags got a lot of ways to go if they want to go get Marshawn Lattimore.
Brent, I'm just saying, man. So first of all, we started the show. We had big news. I thought it could have been a Lattimore thing. I thought a player got in trouble. And
I guess I oversold that. I didn't know. I
kind of oversold it.
I don't know. I got other people saying, "Wow, did you see this news, Brent?" So I think I'm not alone in that. It's a little bit. Again, it's not unreasonable. Just was. I didn't think it would happen this soon. I really did.
Brent,
I thought they'd hang on with it.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how the chat feels, but I haven't read the.
I got to get on the chat.
I don't have a computer in front of me, but to me, it's the first time I ever tried a fruitcake on Christmas. You ever had Christmas fruitcake?
Yeah.
They're all the same.
Yeah,
right? I've never had a great one. I've never had a bad one. It's just kind of mundane. That's what you gave me today with the Zay Jones news. I was expecting something either crazy good, Lattimore, or something crazy bad. Oh, great. Brian Thomas Jr. is already in trouble. Something like that. You give me Zay Jones. You just gave me a Christmas fruitcake, and I don't care.
Jags do it. But one thing we keep missing, and I'm sure this is on the chat. I didn't see this, but the Duvernay signing is certainly a special team signing, but he can also play wide receiver some. It'll be interesting if they utilize him in almost a Jamal Agnew-esque role, not the one that he had to get thrown into because Zay Jones got hurt, but the one that they did prior to that, where he was very much almost like a decoy at spots, right, to kind of make the defense think about something. I think it's a wrinkle that returns to the game potentially with Duvernay.
Well, let me ask you with Duvernay, why was he brought here, Brent?
Oh, he's returned a punt, return, and kick.
Yeah, so I want that to be the main focus.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to run, and I know Doug Peterson loves to do this, and I'm not going to fault him for it. If you want to run him on one or two kind of gadget plays a game, okay, but like my biggest fear is the same thing with Agnew, and I was worried about this the entire year, and it came to fruition, is when you rely on these guys who are specialists and, punt return or kickoff return specialists, the special teams guys, and you throw them in there in the wide receiver role, it's just a matter of time before something bad's going to happen. So I get it. If depth's an issue and you got to throw him in there for a couple plays, I ask just be cautious, because you don't need another Agnew situation where you throw him in there, he gets hurt, and now you're down not only a wide receiver but also a special teams ace as well.
Yeah, I get it. I would say this. I thought the usage of Agnew last year, and maybe I'm a little biased toward Agnew, I really like him, and I thought he had some spectacular plays for the Jags over the course of his tenure. I know he also fumbled a couple of times that got the fan base down on him, but if you go back and look at his career, he had, that 2021 season alone, he had some of the highlight moments of it, which was not a lot of reason to smile for Jags fans, and he kind of gave him a reason to smile at times. I thought it was a little overplayed at times how much they were using him at wide receiver. I think he came through a lot of times at wide receiver. Again, I like the wrinkle. Even if he didn't get the ball, I like the ability to use him. I like when they got outside the red zone, it seemed like they would use him on an end around. He'd take it down to the 3-yard line on times. Like, I thought a lot of times they used Agnew. I thought it was pretty effective. I'm not clamoring for them to use Duvernay that way. Yeah. I'm just saying I'm not as opposed to it as everybody else. Everybody's like, lock in on the return game. I get it. Like, that's what he's here for. You want to keep him healthy for that. I understand. But I also don't mind throwing that guy in sometimes on the playbook. And you just said it a couple of times. This isn't a 12, 15 time a game thing, but it could be a handful, 3, 4, 5 plays.
No, and I'm not mad. Like, if you want to use him as a decoy, then use him as a decoy. I haven't seen a lot of decoys get injured in the NFL. So if you want to use him in that facility, then absolutely. I just caution, though. If you have a guy that's not taking the reps, day in and day out, not taking the hits day in, day out from a wide receiver standpoint, I just don't want another injury situation, because you saw that with Agnew. You saw it where it's like, wow, this guy's explosive, he's versatile, all right, let's give him the ball. And then all of a sudden, let's give him the ball a little more. You flew too close to the sun, you got burned. But the wild thing to me with Jamal Agnew as well, Brent, is, and you mentioned it a little bit, has there been any player in the past 5 years that has had, I feel like, more big plays, but also more like,
bad plays.
Bad plays.
Yeah. He's been in big moments.
Yeah.
And maybe that's it, right?
Down.
Like, should that guy be in the big moments that much, right? And again, I think it's worth repeating. He had to jump in this year because of the Zay Jones injury. Like, I don't know if he had to, but he was involved more because of the Zay Jones in and out of the lineup. They trusted him more to do stuff.
And I'll be honest, when he was in, obviously I was cheering for it because, wow, it was different. He was fast. He got open. Like, there's a lot to like about it. But, size is a thing too. And if you're a little undersized in the NFL, you're taking big shots, it's only a matter of time.
All right, let's take a break. Rocking and rolling early here from the University of North Florida. A lot happening here on campus. The tennis team's going the NCAAs. The beach volleyball team's going the NCAAs. Softball just won a big series. Baseball season wraps up. In fact, the only home events they have left, I believe, are on the baseball diamond. Obviously, track and field program this month heats up in some of the big events. So a lot going on here at the University of North Florida. We'll visit with some of the coaches in the 11 o'clock hour. And don't forget, come hang out with us on Friday. We'll be at Best Bet St. Augustine on Friday morning, 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. It's brunch with Brent and Austin. We are giving away some things, some shirts and gift bags and prizes and Superfecta Kentucky Derby tickets. And we're eating, too, and you can eat on us. Austin's cooking, or at least paying. See you at Best Bet St. Augustine on Friday with the Brent and Austen Show. It's right off 95, exit 311. Come on down, hang out with us. Maybe you get free something else if you wear a 92 jersey with the Jags. If you got one of those, you get bumped up the list big time. We'll be right back.
First class.
Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Do you have ugly concrete around your home or business? Are you tired of concrete that is cracked, stained, or just plain ugly? Spartan Coatings' range of products provides a surface that is non-porous, easy to clean, antibacterial, and slip-resistant, all with superior durability.
Living in Florida nearly my whole life, I know the toll our weather can take on a garage floor. That's why I had Matt and the crew from Spartan Coatings transform this space. And the best part, they did it in one day.
It was a professional process from step one. The polyurea and polyaspartic system provides superior flexibility, is 4 times stronger than epoxy coatings, and will withstand temperatures high and low. Plus, it comes with a 20-year warranty. Whether it's a garage floor, patio, pool deck, driveway, or your interior flooring, Spartan Coatings has you covered. To get started transforming your ugly concrete surfaces, call 904-671-3930 or visit SpartanCoatings.com today for your free quote.
I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we're a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnicht Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnicht family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 0.9% for eligible buyers on Terrains and no payments for 90 days. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnicht Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at nimnichtbuickgmc.com. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
Thank you for making Action News Jax the best in Jax and Folio's Best of Jax 2023. Best TV station, Best TV newscast, Best TV morning show. Chandler Morgan voted Best TV anchor. The Chief, Mike Burrish, voted Best meteorologist. And Brent Martineau voted Best TV sports anchor. And while you're on the go, Best news website and Best local blog, The Burrish Blog. Thank you for making Action News Jax local coverage you can count on.
It's a new logo, new branding, but with Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. And with that comes the perks we miss in the big business world. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained. And they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at BoldCityAC.com. The folks at Bold City Heating and Air also know your AC unit is important and can be a big expense. That's why they have financing to help. No payments, no interest for 12 months on new systems. $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at BoldCityAC.com. Homegrown in your hometown. Bold City Heating and Air.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jax, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jax is always on. Now, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jax 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jax 24/7.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Hey, there's a look at Everbank Stadium on a Tuesday we are at right now, Tuesday morning, as they get ready for a Luke Combs concert. They are redoing things down there at Everbank from the draft night in Duval, and now they've got the concert coming up, and then I think the week later they got Aldean and George Strait. I mean, they got a lot going on the next couple of weeks downtown. Obviously, there's a lot going on inside Miller Electric Center and Jags headquarters because they just made a couple more moves. The big news this morning, Zay Jones, Joey Sly, those guys have been released, and the Jaguars save about $5 million in cap space, close to $10 million in cash, if you will, but they'll still eat some of that dead money. And the Jaguars now have, I think by my calculation, if I saw the most recent thing, around $35 million to play with. There's plenty of big-name guys out there still that you know, from Xavier Howard to Yannick Ngakoue to Calais Campbell to players like that they might be able to go reach out and say, hey, let's take a flyer here if we think we need it. I don't know inside the building if the Jags think they need it. We talk Marshawn Lattimore. I mean, Xavier Howard's a guy that doesn't have a home right now for a reason. You know, it's not like he's a big name. Again, don't get wrapped up in the names. Jarvis Landry is a guy that is coming over here and he's going to work out. Great name. I mean, great name. But this isn't a name game, right? I mean, this is more to it than that. So I think you got to be a little bit aware of that. Xavier Howard, does he do anything? Like, there's a guy that's out there that they could go get, and even if it costs a little bit, they've got the money, is my point.
Yeah, I mean, let me ask you this, Brent. They have the money right now, but, like, is the goal still trying to sign Trevor?
Yeah, I think you have to plan right now that the Jags are going to sign Trevor based off the words, based on the amount of space they've got available. Okay. But what does alleviate is you're not going to go get an Ayuk or a Higgins or somebody like that might have cost you $25-26 million.
True.
You can really play with that figure when it comes to Trevor. That won't hurt you at all in the cap this year.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, then, I mean, if you want to upgrade, then upgrade. Like, listen, I'm fine right now with Darby and Tyson Campbell, and, like, knock on wood, hopefully they can stay healthy is the biggest part, right? But I'm not opposed to that. But you know how I feel about upgrading. If you can upgrade, then you have a chance to upgrade, then go get it. But it has to fit your room. Like, Howard's free right now for a reason, right? Would he fit in the Jaguars locker room? Would he fit with Ryan Nielsen? I think only Ryan Nielsen knows that.
Yeah, true.
So, I mean, if they aren't getting him, there's probably a reason why they're not getting him right now.
Zay Jones, obviously the big story, getting a lot of comments about that. Win-loss will stay the same. Brian Thomas Jr. is the same as Gabe Davis and Zay Jones. The O-line didn't really improve, and neither did the corner core, according to someone on the chat. It's very hard to read out here today, by the way, because of the glare. So that's the one bad thing. It's a beautiful day out here at the University of North Florida Tennis Complex. Pickleball right behind us. Tennis practicing, getting ready for the NCAA tournament in Tallahassee. You had this thought, and I want you to go a little deeper on it. Gabe, now, they say Brian Thomas is the same. Brian Thomas, to me, is not the same as Gabe Davis and Zay Jones. But you think Gabe Davis is the same as Zay Jones when they got him. That was a curiosity of yours when they brought him in.
Yeah.
Do you think Brian Thomas is also the same as those guys?
I mean, we compare, listen, they all have big play capability, right? So I think that's where they fall in the same box and everything. But I think Brian Thomas Jr., in terms of versatility, can do a lot more. I mean, like he said, I don't know. Maybe Gabe Davis has been in the slot as well, but I haven't seen Gabe Davis a lot when I've watched him be in the slot. I saw him be on the outside and run his go routes, run his posts, his corners, and have that big play. I think Brian Thomas Jr. can do a little bit of everything. So I don't see them as the same player per se. Like, yeah, the guy ran a 4.3, and he had a touchdown every 4 catches, I think it was. There's a lot of Gabe Davis qualities there. But I think Brian Thomas Jr. can do a lot more than just that.
Z. Fortner says he's swinging by Friday to Best Bet. You better, because you can collect your money as well. I owe him $100 for his bracket win.
Oh, there you go. His bracket contribution.
It wasn't really a win. It was a win over me.
He had Florida.
So that's it. You can come on down to Best Bet, by the way, on Friday and be a part of the festivities and the live audience. There's some interesting comments in here that got me thinking about Zay Jones. Just a real quick, did you have a favorite moment? And I think everybody's going to go back to the Baltimore game, right? The 2-point conversion. That's a pretty signature moment for Zay. But keep in mind, to start this year, Zay had highlight reel plays. Remember the catch against Indianapolis in the end zone to start this 2023 season. And I think he made one more big play. Maybe it was in London, I think against Buffalo in the end zone. He had 2 huge touchdown catches. And again, early in the season, it was like when he's on the field, this offense looks different, Zay Jones. But the Baltimore game has to be kind of the crowning moment in Jacksonville.
That stands out to me, absolutely, yes.
So if you want to throw something else in, you can. I mean, not to say Zay's going the pride of the Jaguars, but I think that playoff run's a special run. The playoff run is significant, right? I mean, that's a 2022 season that will be remembered for a long time around here. And by the way, he had a career year. He came in as a free agent, much like Kirk, much like Ingram, and they delivered. They had career years in a Jacksonville Jaguars uniform after signing some pretty good deals in the free agency. The other thing I have out there, who's your favorite undrafted free agent? Jags have put a press release out with 13 undrafted free agent signings. Is there one that really you like, that you're going to fall in love with? Because I know this is coming. We're going to fall in love with somebody in May, in June, in August, all right? And by the way, that might be fair because there's a really good chance maybe an undrafted free agent makes the roster. And maybe it is at wide receiver where they've had it before, guys like Elijah Cooks and others.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you, Brent, but I feel like we do this thing every single year where it's like the undrafted
But I think the fans like it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it gives you hope and everything, but then it's halfway through the season. It's like, oh, yeah, I forgot we had him. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So 2 things out there that you can jump in. Favorite Zay Jones moment and favorite undrafted free agent that the Jaguars have signed.
I mean, do we throw the undrafted free agent? Can we throw Jarvis Landry in that mix or not, since he's already...
Nah, I don't think so yet, because he feels more workout.
Okay.
That doesn't mean you stick.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Somebody in here said, I don't even think he's going to make it to camp.
Well, I hate to tell you, Brent, if you're an undrafted free agent, doesn't mean you're stick either.
I know, but at least you feel like you've signed him for now, right? So that means you're probably invested for, but you're right. I mean, by the end of May, a couple of those guys will likely be off too. 3 touchdown game for Zay against the Cowboys. Kind of forgot about that, huh?
Yeah. I totally did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how about, by the way, this is another good one for Mr. Mike, touchdown against the Chargers, which is really one of the great plays by Trevor Lawrence. He's the one that saw that and recognized that in that comeback and threw it, was that at the end of the third quarter, maybe? And I forget the whole situation now, which I shouldn't. You should remember every situation from that game. But he saw in alignment, they took advantage of it, and he had Zay wide open down the middle of the field against the Chargers. So there's another good moment for Zay Jones. We had talked about offense versus defense. The Jags are heavily invested on the defensive side. I think that got a little bit overlooked this offseason. If you look at their offense, they did bring in Gabe Davis. They bring in Brian Thomas. So there's heavy investments, of course, but they bring in Mitch Morse. Outside of that, that's it. Defensively, they've really ponied up here. They spent 5 draft picks on defense. They go get Eric Armstead as well. They get Darby. They get Darnell Savage. I think that's it. They bring in a new defensive coordinator. That is a sometimes cyclical thing. So what teams will do is sometimes they'll spend money in free agency on one side of the ball and draft the other side of the ball. Or they just go heavy one side of the ball one year and go heavy the other side of the ball next year. Yeah. What's interesting about the Jags, I think they can start to spread this out because they've got a handful of players on both sides of the ball that are now core players that are inked for some time, that this isn't going to change every year. Now they're bringing another set of a handful of players that will change, and that's just the nature of the business. But the Jags did go heavy defense here. I mean, they targeted the defensive side of things, mainly, I think, because of what they already had on offense. The question is, will it work? And I asked you this question earlier, will this be an offensive identity team? I think it will, because I think it has to be with Doug and Trevor, and I think it's got big play capability to kind of be like, oh, we're seeing you on SportsCenter now, and we're seeing you on NFL Network. But I'm telling you, man, I think they have built this defense to try to really be as balanced as some of the other teams that you see around the National Football League. Not, hey, carry us offense.
No, without a doubt. And it works hand in hand, right? Like, if you have a good offense, more than likely you have a pretty decent defense to kind of help you out as well. Because anytime, a defense can go 3 and out, that helps the offense out. So I agree with that. I feel like I don't want this to come across the wrong way because they're like even last year you had some great players in that defense, right? Trayvon Walker, talk about Josh Allen. But I feel like they kind of needed a more of an identity overhaul, if you will, as opposed to the offense. Like, yeah, I'm not saying the offense was perfect by any means last year because it wasn't. And some of those things got addressed, especially with the offensive line now with Mitch Morse. But I feel like last year with that defense, and we saw it after that Cincinnati game, couldn't stop the run. You couldn't stop anything, really. And there was the miscommunication, and you didn't really feel like anybody was really stepping up and saying, guys, we got to stop this right now. Well, you address this in the draft now where you get some guys who maybe underproduced a little bit in college, but number one, are big-bodied. Number two, some of these guys have chip on their shoulders, play with bad intentions, kind of have that dog in them, if you will. So I feel like it's a combination now of bolstering the trenches, stopping the run, and also bringing some guys in who seems like they have a little bit of that dog in them.
Yeah.
And I think, once again, it all echoes to what Ryan Nielsen's trying to do. And that's any good defense is going to do that. Any good defense is going to have the personality type, the showcase type of their coordinator. And I think Ryan Nielsen, we know what we're getting there. And I think a lot of these guys in that draft echo what he's going to try to do. So I like the fact that they try to, rebolster a little bit, remodel some of the personality and just some of the size on the defensive line. And on offense, it's more of the same where you have your guys. Hopefully Doug Peterson puts those glasses back on, starts calling plays. But you like what you have there as well.
Yeah, and you made some changes and additions to help it out. I like what you said there. I just threw something out there to say, what team do the Jags most resemble? I think we used to say, hey, the Jags are trying to be the Kansas City Chiefs, right? They want to go up and down the field. They want to be like Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence. Like you could see it at times that they resemble the Buffalo Bills a little bit more. But remember, the Bills were like number one in the NFL a couple of times in the last few years on offense and on defense. The Jags were never that. So think about that for a moment, and I'll get back to it. But I really like what you just said, and maybe the last part of what you just said about Ryan Nielsen. You personify your coordinator, or you personify your head coach sometimes as a football team. That was hard to do with Mike Caldwell, and I'm not trying to knock him, but he's a very mild-mannered guy. He's very, I
didn't know who he was, Brent.
Yeah, it's hard to know what he is, right?
Yeah.
I think there are no secrets about Nielsen.
Yeah.
I think from stash to style, I think this guy's going to go
also to what his former players say about him.
Yeah, I think you know it. When they brought him over, it's like, okay, they're going to be aggressive. They're going to go attack. Like, we know it. We know the identity. We raved about that, actually, when they brought him over there. We like that. That you already knew it before they even acquired other players. Mm-hmm. You knew that's what he was going to preach and try to get out of this group, and if they could. I also think what they did on defense, and this is why I'm a little stuck on this topic, is because when you think of the things that you talked about, sure, physicality also comes on the offensive side. We think about it a lot here because 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 have been such a problem. Mm-hmm. But stopping Derrick Henry, punching people in the mouth, that's where you think about it on the defensive side. And you think they might have got a little edgier there and fixed that and tougher. And if you look at this draft, they got more physically freaky, right? Alone.
Yeah,
they added weight. They added size, they added length. They now you look across that line of scrimmage and like, damn, I can't see past 5 yards,
but
right?
Also with Jerry and Jones, you had a guy I feel like too plays with a chip on his shoulder and brings a little edge to him. Yeah.
And we don't know enough. Well, you might know more of that. I don't know that about Darnell Savage and stuff, but Darby's been always a player like that, actually going all the way back to the Florida State days. And he played for Baltimore, who you actually have that, okay, if he played at Baltimore, then he's got a little bit of that in him.
To me, that's kind of like, that's the standard, I feel like, in terms of a defensive mentality is what they do in Baltimore.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I like all those things to add up and say, yeah, I do think we have a little bit more edge, a little bit more personality, definitely a little more toughness. Now, they got to go showcase that. They've got to earn the way to do that. And I always use toughness very lightly here because it's a tough game. It's a violent game. These guys are all tough. Mm-hmm. But there are some teams that have an identity of being tough. You go back to 2017, the Jags' identity wasn't necessarily being tough. They were playmaking defense, fast defense. They weren't necessarily like, I'm going to go knock you in the next week like the Steelers' defense of old or the Ravens' defenses have been. So there's a difference there. But I do think the Jags fixed a lot of their problems on defense. What we still don't know is did they fix that physicality problem on offense? Because a lot of people still griping about the offensive line being mostly the same outside of Mitch Morse. Can Mitch Morse make that much of a difference? Can Ezra Cleveland in year 2 in the system offensively make that much of a difference to be physically more tough.
Well, and here's the beauty of, talking about toughness and everything, Brent, is like, and you know exactly where I stand on this. I think Houston right now by far has the better roster than Jacksonville. I think a lot of people would agree with me. And whether
I think technicality on by far.
Okay. I mean, it's not 1A, 1B.
No, I think I think most people would say clearly one.
Okay, exactly. But a great equalizer can be that toughness.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because, well, it seems like every single time the Jacksonville Jaguars play the Tennessee Titans, the Titans come out and it's like, all right, the roster doesn't scare me. Who am I supposed to be afraid of? Obviously Derrick Henry, but that's about it. But time and time again, it's usually a dogfight just because of the toughness of the Tennessee Titans. Now, they lose Mike Vrabel. We'll see what they look like going forward. You lost Derrick Henry as well. So maybe it's starting to be a little more of a finesse team now. But I'm just saying in the past, the toughness of the Tennessee Titans has carried them a long way. I'm not ready to call the Jacksonville roster close to the Houston Texans roster yet, but that toughness can be the equalizer. And now also you can talk about Jacksonville maybe competing for an AFC South title just because of that toughness alone.
John Shipley tweeted this out in case you're big Zay Jones cheerleader like I seem to be.
Yeah.
Out of 68 wide receivers with 100 targets over the last couple of years, Zay Jones ranks 58th in yards per route, 67 in drop percentage, 60 in yards per target. He did have a lot of drops. Part of a group that did actually have a lot of drops overall. I mean, that's been a little bit of an undertone story around the Jags receivers. A lot of drops when it comes to Trevor Lawrence, which is kind of weird because it seems like he throws a good ball and everything. But that's just a little note on that front. All right, I asked the question. I didn't give you a lot of time to think, but maybe others did out there. Who do the Jags most resemble, do you think, now in the NFL? Like, if you look at their roster, their style, what you think they're going to be in the fall, what are they trying to be themselves? Are they mimicking a team, like in terms of the build that, hey, we want to play like this?
Yeah, I mean, you would hope that they're trying to just mimic themselves.
Yeah,
right?
I get it.
That's the goal.
Recreate themselves.
But if we're talking about a team currently right now in the NFL, Brent, right, like a current roster.
Yeah, I think
not from the past. Like I want to say, the Giants of the past, but
I don't know if you need to go all the way back,
no,
but even if it's something off last year, like because we have a recollection of who, like you're not Philadelphia, right? They're not going to play like Philadelphia.
I think, and I want to be careful here because I mean they're a top-notch team when they're healthy, but I think you could make an argument. Now the wide receiver is a little different, but I think the Cincinnati Bengals, just in terms of you have a lot of weapons in a lot of various areas. Now, I like the running backs better right now in Jacksonville than they do in Cincinnati because they just lost Joe Mixon. But I think, you have a combination now of Christian Kirk and you expect Brian Thomas Jr. to fill right in. I mean, I think you have a lot of weapons there at your disposal. You have a quarterback now that's going to use those weapons and use them to his full advantage. And you have a Bengals defense that is, I felt like sometimes kind of slept on a little bit in terms of their pass rush. Now, Trey Hendrickson wants out, so we'll see how that pans out. But to me, a healthy Bengals, maybe.
I don't mind the Bengals team. It's funny outside. Like
it's a hard question. I don't know.
Yeah, how I view the Bengals is so offensive heavy and just Burrow chase. It's like even losing Mixon doesn't feel that bad. They got they on the offensive line and Higgins. They got so the passing game. Like I just view it as a passing game.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you one, and you might laugh.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean they are here. But I think they most resemble, and maybe it makes the most sense now that I think about it.
Okay.
The San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah.
Bulky came from there. Ethan Walk came from there. And so you look, let's just go offensively. And they, obviously, Purdy and Trevor, I'm not even going to try to compare. But ETN has characteristics like he can do some of the things that McCaffrey did. I'm not telling you he's better, okay? Just stop me here, right?
It's probably the best running back in the league, Brent, but yes.
This is all comparison-based. They don't have a Debo, but nobody has a Debo. But they have a lot of weapons on offense. They got different style weapons now. See, this is what I love what they did here with the Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas. You add style into it. Ayuk is different than Debo, is different than Kittle, is different than McCaffrey. I think you can now make the claim the Jags are like that. Ingram's a different matchup for a defense than Christian Kirk is, than Brian Thomas will be, than Gabe Davis is, than ETN is. I think they have some of that differentiation on offense, which makes defenses defend multiple things.
Okay.
And what I like about them on defense now is they really feel like they've got a lot of star power, name power on the front, a la the San Francisco 49ers.
No, that's fair.
Right?
Yeah.
And hey, do you know the secondary of the Niners? Not really. You know their front seven.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't it feel like we know the Jags' front seven way more than we know the secondary? I know we know it. I'm just saying the outside world wouldn't know it as well, or the question marks come in the secondary.
True.
So I'm not telling you that they are, but they're an offensive team with Kyle Shanahan, Doug Peterson. They feel like they are. Everything goes through their offense, but they can be very good on defense too. The question will be is, can they be as physically imposing? And I think that's where our conversation comes into play. I think they're trying to get there, trying to get a little more physically imposing. Now, I don't know if we got a Trent Williams kind of guy. I don't know if Cam can be that.
Yeah.
But they're a little less dynamic. Nobody has a Deebo Samuel, but you can also argue Trevor's a better quarterback overall than a guy like Purdy that can help lead the way more than steer the ship. And
I mean, would you compare like a Puka Nacua to Deebo Samuel? I mean, like, I don't know. He does. Like, you don't see Puka running a lot of jet sweeps, but I think in terms of physicality,
yeah, he might be.
Yeah,
might be. Yeah, I just think it's hard to find.
No, it's super hard to find.
In full usage, finding somebody to do what Deebo does, especially if they're going to run him back there and stuff.
Impossible.
It's really hard. But like, I don't hate Mike. Like, again, you're not it. This isn't the idea of it. But it's, who are you trying to be like? And it makes so much sense that the Jags are trying. They have pedigree from San Fran. I mean, Trent was there. Ethan Wall recently was just there. And I think the Jaguars have, Eric Armstead was just there.
Correct.
Right? So I think you're building a little bit similar to what the Niners are. And by the way, if you can get like 80% there, you might have yourself a chance because they've had a hell of a run.
No, I mean, I'm surprisingly not like turned off to the comparison. I mean, you know what I think? Okay, they were the Super Bowl last year, Brent. Like, are we calling the Jaguars a Super Bowl contender right now? Well, probably not. But I see where you're going with it. I see the vision, and I don't disagree with you. I mean, I think Evan Ingram, goes untalked a lot of the times in terms of being one of the best tight ends right now in the NFL, and George Kittle, kind of the same. So, yeah, I'm not opposed to the comparison. I just feel like, I think the 49ers defense is a little more proven right now, as opposed to the Jaguars, where...
And so is their offense, quite frankly.
Well, their offense as well. But, the 49ers defense, they have the names, they have the players and everything, and so the Jaguars now, it's just, can you put it all together? Yeah,
and I think what's interesting is, if you look at the defense of the Niners, it's imposing, but it was also at times, I think, a shade overrated. And the reason it was... if you looked at statistics, when they came to Jacksonville and they put a thumping on Jacksonville, you looked at their stats. By the way, they were guys like Bosa and company didn't even have a lot of sacks at that time. And this was halfway through the year. This was a pretty good sample. And then their run defense was I think really strong. And the reason why most people said their run defense was strong is because, they were always in the lead, so nobody ran against them. So it shows you how the offense can dictate and help the defense. And that's what I think needs to happen here. I think the offense dictates play. Didn't do it enough last year. I thought it would. I thought that would be the step they didn't. You get ahead in games, and now you let that defense eat. The times that we did see it happen, it was very effective. It just wasn't a consistent thing across the entire season. But I think that's who the Jags want to be. I think they want to be hey, we can go score with you. We're going to get on top of you. We're going to lead. If you look at that stat that says, hey, we led this amount of time, Baltimore Ravens very good in that stat. San Francisco 49ers very good in that stat. I think the Jags want to be in that stat, control the pace of the game, control the tempo of the game, and therefore your defense can really help you out when you're in the lead versus trying to chase from. Now, listen, everybody would like to do that. I'm just saying the Jags might be built more to do that if, because San Fran doesn't have a problem with this. Getting 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1.
Well, and that's going to be my next question here. Say what you want about Brock Purdy, and, some of the numbers can speak for themselves. Some of it can be inflated just because of the players that are around him. But a lot of the success of Brock Purdy comes from, Christian McCaffrey being able to run the football, right, and open things up in the pass game. Do you think, and I think we've heard some shades of this, some rumblings, and obviously in the draft of the past with Tank Bigsby would indicate this, do you see the Jaguars being that more of a balanced run attack, opening up that pass game? Or do you see Trevor Lawrence throwing the ball, 50 times a game? Because I think if we talk about more being a balanced team, well, then it reminds me a little more of the Eagles in terms of what Sirianni does. And, all right, you run the football. Oh, by the way, you have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, get open, go deep, and we'll throw it to the ball, every once in a while. No, I'm not going to trust Trevor Lawrence on a 4th and 1 quite yet, or a tush push, because they haven't been able to do that, it seems like. But I'm just saying in terms of the offensive philosophy of what San Fran likes to do, of what a team like the Eagles like to do. I mean, could you see a lot more of a balanced attack, take the ball out of Trevor's hands a little more, let Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby eat?
Yeah, I don't know. I think Doug at his core is still going to be, what does he say? Throw to score, run to win.
Okay.
Is that what he said? I think that's what it is. And I could see that. I also am a little enamored with this idea that, hey, the offense has changed. Trevor Lawrence, if you go back to that news conference a few weeks ago, was like, yeah, we've already made some changes. We're changing things a little bit. It's going to look a little different. Well, what does that mean? And obviously you got to evolve as a play caller, as an offense, as players. But to me, what that could mean is, what the system that's working the most right now across the National Football League and people can't figure it out? The Shanahan one. Slowick in Houston, where they've been Detroit. These guys all coming from that tree, I believe, where they've had that influence.
Yeah.
Maybe the Jags are going to steal some of those principles too, where San Fran does such a great job of scheming things up. But part of the reason they do such a great job of scheming things up, Austin, is because they have so many different guys that they could get it to. Mm-hmm. I think the Jags are in a boat now where they can be like, hey, we can beat you here, 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 and way down there.
Yeah. Let's go, bro. Let's get a fullback in here, and let's go.
I was thinking of that. When they go fullback, I don't think they're going to go to that degree. But Tank Bigsby can kind of play like one at times if you can bring that physical presence in. I think that's going to be a big part of this. I think this is a big year for Bigsby and that offensive line.
Whoa.
Because, listen, Travis has proven to us that he can run between the tackles. Travis Etienne has maybe impressed more of us with the fact that he is it's tough runner.
Yeah.
And a physical runner. I think now they got to figure out that they've got a 1-2 punch there, and their offensive line can move people. That's really the question mark. So anyway, just kind of a fascinating look at who the Jags could be like. And by the time this season unfolds, it might be 3 or 4 different teams. I just don't think they're going to look the same. I'm really intrigued with what that offense looks like, what wrinkles they put in. And I think alone by getting Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas, they told you something. They want to stretch the field and beat you deep, and they're sending those guys on go routes.
No, without a doubt. And nothing opens up a go route like the run game, though. The play action game.
Play action game.
You talk about the play action game.
And San Fran does that great.
It's only going to, it's kind of the staple of Brock Purdy and why he's about to be one of the highest paid quarterbacks, I feel like, in the NFL, if not this year, but next year, is the play action game. And yeah, you mentioned Tank Bigsby, Brent. It's going to be, we know what Travis Etienne brings to the table.
Yeah.
Right? We know what he's capable between the tackles, great in the receiving game, hold on the football, will be all good. Tank Bigsby still has a lot to prove. And where he was selected, he has to prove it this year.
You'd be such a good beach volleyball player, probably. I know we don't have beaches back there.
Where are we looking?
Okay. Beach is way back there.
Where did that come from?
Well, because we're going to talk to beach volleyball coach when we come back.
Gotcha.
But I was just thinking about it. Beach volleyball is really fun.
Yeah.
But you'd probably be pretty good at it.
Maybe, yeah.
I think so. I'll ask. I'll get the diagnosis.
That's not 2-on-2, right?
2-on-2.
Well, my back person better be pretty dang good.
I can be there. That round, me with my shirt off.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah,
you try it out, man. A little Top Gun action. You get a handshake going.
It's nothing better. Like when you feel like, so you still feel this way because you're physically in great shape.
Yeah.
And gifted. But me, that zone was like 18 to like 22, 23, 24. And it's nothing better than going and playing a little beach volleyball, taking it, and feel like you are in Top Gun.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's fun, man. It's fun.
But that evaporates very quick for a lot of us. We'll take a break. We're live at the University of North Florida. We'll talk a little beach volleyball, get a little tennis coming up, too, with some of the big sports and events going on here on campus. But always back to the Jags and the NFL. We've got some other questions I want to ask. And the NBA, NHL playoffs, where do those sit? The Lakers are done. What does it mean for LeBron James? So a lot to get to here on a Tuesday. The Brent Austen Show, live on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. You can find us in the new Miller and Mullen show. Starts at 6 a.m. till 10 a.m. and then we take you until 1 each and every day on the network. It's on actionnewsjax.com and the Action News Jax app.
What started out as better people, better projects just keeps getting, well, better. That's Better Exterior Solutions, ready to help you create a better outdoor experience. Check this out. Motorized pergolas are the latest in technology to transform your outdoor space. Beautiful day? Let the sun shine through. Summer rainstorm? These pergola systems close automatically to keep the weather out. From residential to commercial uses, Better Exterior Solutions has products customized to meet virtually any existing architectural structure. With retractable awnings, screens, and hurricane shutters too, if you want unparalleled quality and expertise, you need Better Exterior Solutions. Get a free estimate by visiting betterexteriors.com or calling 904-902-4999. Better Exterior Solutions. Experience better.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
I'm Action News Jack's First Alert meteorologist Garrett Beaton. Well, the sun is up and it's going to be a beautiful day.
Sometimes you just need a day to yourself. And Garrett's First Alert forecast makes sure you're ready to go out and enjoy. Garrett and the Action News Jax This Morning team helping you start your morning right.
Discover how good your water can be with a new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's twin tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We know that at our home. You can find out as well. Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? Well, CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions to improve it. The higher your water score, the better your water. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242, cgcwater.com. Financing options are available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
Community. That's who we serve.
It's the people. Yes, the people.
Demanding answers because the truth matters.
When are you going to do the job?
Listening and getting help to those who need it.
I just appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.
It's about telling stories from deep inside our neighborhoods, informing you, building connections, tracking storms.
Serious storm situation, the kind of which we rarely see.
Holding people accountable.
You were getting at the truth.
That's who we are. Action News Jax.
The friendliest golf course in town, the Golf Club at Southampton. Local golfers have no shortage of options when it comes to picking a course to play here in Northeast Florida year-round. Yet time and time again, I find myself here at the Golf Club at Southampton. Easy to get to off 210 in St. Johns County. It's family-owned and operated and renowned for being one of the area's most player-friendly. That's just one of the reasons we hold the Action Sports Jax Dream 18 charity golf tournament here each fall. The Mark McCumber design layout is great for all skill levels of golfers, from the guys who bomb it a mile on the range to golfers like me who are just happy to put it in the fairway, which Southampton has very accommodating fairways. And if you need new clubs, come down to the Pro Shop. They'll fit you up and get you a nice new set like they did for me. For more information on membership or to book a tee time and see for yourself, head over to golfsouthampton.com or call the clubhouse at 904-287-7529. The Golf Club at Southampton. It's the official home of the Action Sports Jax Dream 18. Make it your home for golf too.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Hey, we will be at Best Bet St. Augustine on Friday, Kentucky Derby weekend. We're having a big party. We have a live audience down there. Want you to be a part of it. And, hey, this is easy for you. You're already a winner before you even play a table game or poker or anything at Best Bet because you're going to get free brunch with Brent and Austen and gift bags. I'm buying you a superfecta ticket for the Derby. So there's a chance you could win some big bucks on me. Come on down, and supplies are limited. Spots are limited. But love to have you down there. And live audience. Best Bet St. Augustine coming up off exit 311 on 95. So make sure you go to the St. Augustine location for Best Bet. Brent Martineau along with Austen Lane. Well, not right now. Doug Wright instead here at the University of North Florida. We came out, watched the pickleball courts. We got men's tennis going on, getting ready for the NCAA tournament. And then right off, maybe we really should be going over to the beach volleyball courts and playing some beach volleyball
sure.
Because you guys are NCAA tournament bound, heading to Alabama as a 16 seed in the NCAA tournament. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. We're excited. First time in school history, so we can't wait to get there.
Yeah, and you'll play Chattanooga in a play-in game. It's a pretty interesting situation because there's 17 teams that make it. Right. Basically, that works as the play-in.
Yep.
Top seed USC after that. So go get a win, right? Then that would be a milestone here at UNF.
That's the plan. We're hoping to get through that first round. I think we have a pretty good shot, and then we'll get to see USC, who's been the national champion the last couple of years, and it should be a fun match. We got to play them last year down in Miami. We competed well. We'll see how we do this time.
And everybody's right there, too.
That's right.
How long does the event go? So you guys will play Friday morning, I think, and then do you play again later that day?
That's right. So Friday and Saturday, that's all single elimination. The play-in will happen, and then 2 hours later we'll play USC, and then another round on Saturday, then Sunday's the championship.
Okay. We're so familiar with volleyball, indoor, outdoor. I think we think it's kind of, hey, you do that, you do this, right? Totally different game, isn't it?
Completely different game. I like to relate it to, you could play hockey without ice skates on, but then when you put those ice skates on, it gets a little bit more difficult, right? So, it's learning how to move in the sand. That's kind of step one. And then the game is just different strategy-wise, mentality-wise. It's completely different. It's just you and one other person. So versus where indoor, you might be able to hide a little bit. On the beach, you got to touch that ball every single play, and you can get exposed if there's some weaknesses in your game.
I was just saying that Austin was like 6'6". That certainly got to help size, but it's not just about size on that beach volleyball court.
It is not just about size. Two of my better players, last year's freshman of the year, they're around 5'6". It helps really? They have big old verticals and they can get out of the sand. But they're so quick, it's hard to score on them, and they're smart. So if you got those two skills, you can kind of put the ball where you want. You can be pretty successful in this sport.
Yeah, I think like the view I have of it is indoor. I mean, shoot, the females are so athletic now, and obviously the men's game. I mean, you better look out when that spike's kill's coming, right? I mean, it is like boom.
That's right.
On the sand, it is a little bit different, right? It's kind of more of a I mean, you get that, but you still have more of a placement game, too.
Yeah, you have that opportunity where you can get up and bounce balls and have that kind of power game, but you can also use that power game to set up kind of your shot game if you want. So you can go up and hit some balls, and then a little later on, maybe you can work in some shots, just kind of hit it where they're not type volleyball.
Give us the idea of the growth of this sport. I feel like every time we have a women's coach on now, we're talking about the boom of women's sports. I mean, I think the Caitlin Clark stuff is fascinating because we're looking at it through the lens of basketball and what it just did, but that's not the complete story. I mean, we're seeing women's girls flag football across the high school level. We're seeing beach volleyball really pop up on the high school level here in the state of Florida.
Absolutely.
You said, I think now 99 programs in the collegiate level playing beach volleyball. So it's not just a Florida, California thing.
That's all over the place. Even within our conference, we have schools. We have Eastern Kentucky, Austin P, North Alabama. They all have programs. At the club level, the girls, juniors, once this became an NCAA sport, this thing has just exploded. There's beach volleyball clubs all over the place. There's some here in Jacksonville, all the way down through South Florida. They're having a juniors tournament along with the national championship this weekend. Oh, wow. And in the 18 and U division, there's 150 teams, and in the 16U there's 120. So it's a gigantic juniors tournament at the same time as the national championship, which kind of creates a really cool atmosphere where all these girls can come and watch the national championship. I have girls on my team that have pictures from when they were there 4 or 5 years ago, watching these girls, hoping they could be them. Now they get to kind of live out that dream, which is really cool.
That's a very smart move, by the way. And Austin P and other places like that must suck playing beach volleyball in like March sometimes.
Yeah. Hey, first week of the season, they were posting pictures that their courts had snow on it. So I was like, I don't know if you should keep keep that program or what you guys should do. I don't know.
I know where you should come, right down here, right?
Yeah.
And you guys have a fantastic facility. Give us an idea what this facility is compared to some of the others.
For sure. So we have a nice 5-court facility with a beautiful scoreboard and bleachers, and there's plans to make it even better. This year we traveled to Stanford and Cal Poly, which I think are two of the best complexes in the country, and then also LSU last year. And I would say we're a top 5 complex in the country after traveling around and being there. This is one of the best places in the country to play.
Wow, that's awesome. And what you say it's going to get even better. Why? Like, what else can you do with it?
We're looking for team rooms and different. They have some ideas for kind of like a deck to overlook softball and the beach courts and kind of make it like a little bit more of a party atmosphere. That's beach volleyball was, back in the 90s when it was at its peak. It was Miller Lite, Jose Cuervo tournaments, like party on the beach. Just kind of bringing that atmosphere out to our complex.
So give us a little more of that history lesson. So it was starting to rise in popularity, and then did it go away a bit, and why would that have been?
So the professional league here, it's called the Association of Volleyball Professionals. In the mid-'90s, the guys like Karch Karai and he's the head of the national team right now, the coach. They're making, $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 a tournament. They're, 6-figure incomes playing beach volleyball. And I think just the way that they managed how they were doing that, as it kind of grew and grew, they kind of lost sight of it a little bit, and it ended up going bankrupt early 2000s, and they've been trying to kind of rebuild it, but it hasn't kind of got to where it was before. We used to be the gold standard for beach volleyball in the world, and now the FIVB has kind of taken that over, where they have a little bit more prize money, more more tournaments and everything. So they're working on trying different formats and things to bring it back up here in the States, but I'm telling you, in the 90s, it used to be every Sunday. It would be on NBC in the summer. That's how I got into it, because I'm from Pennsylvania.
Interesting.
And you were talking about having a beach court. My dad built a beach court at my house, and that's how I got into playing beach volleyball. And then on Sundays, you'd watch these guys playing in front of thousands of people on TV. It was awesome. And so they're trying to get that back. Hopefully we get it going. But one thing that's really helped is this collegiate growth. And this will be I think last year this is one of the most viewed programs on ESPN as far as national championships. So it should be good to see that again.
Yeah, that's pretty wow. That's a pretty good history lesson. I'm thinking back, because like my wife's from Columbus, Ohio, and when you started naming like the Miller Lite, Cuervo stuff, it's like they had a bar right there in her hometown, Gahanna, Ohio, and on the back end of the bar was a beach volleyball court.
Everywhere,
and they had lights and everything, and it was like, wow, this is kind of cool.
So I grew up in Pennsylvania. It's the same thing. Northeast volleyball was very big, and during that time, like mid-'90s, early 2000s, that was the thing. You'd play in leagues at the bar. You'd go to the bar. You'd have a league night. It was awesome. It was a really good time.
How's the local volleyball scene? We have such good sports around here, such good athletes, produce a lot of different sports, but some are bigger than others. Where's it at here? Is it getting better?
It's getting better, for sure. They have tournaments down at Jax Beach, normally once a month, and they get a pretty good turnout for the adult side of things. Both my assistants are former players here, and they're younger. They still play, so they'll go down to Sunshine Park and play. They have groups that they play in. They'll play down at Jax Beach, which is cool. So it's thriving a little bit, which is good.
Doug Wright with us here, University of North Florida Ospreys beach volleyball program heading to the NCAA tournament. They win the A-Sun. A big moment for them. If you've never seen the complex here, you got to come over and see. It's really just a great spot with softball and volleyball, and obviously we got pickleball here and tennis, and continued improvements coming to the baseball stadium here shortly as well on the campus of the University of North Florida. Tell us a little bit more about your team. What are your strengths with this group?
Yeah, so we've in volleyball, we talk about siding out a lot. That's basically the ability to, once you get served, to put that first ball away. So I think we're one of the better teams, definitely in our conference. Obviously, we did a really good job this weekend of kind of just running through teams. I think our first ball side out's really good. My team does a really good job kind of staying in the moment, not getting too far ahead, too far behind, and just, I think we're a good serving team. And so I think this weekend that kind of showed. If you watch some of our matches back, we were able to extend some leads just by just serving pressure, running off aces, and really putting the other team on their heels a little bit. So kind of a little bit of an attack mentality, and just I have a lot of really good beach volleyball smart kids, which is fun.
Yeah, that is good. When we used to play beach volleyball, we'd have this fun little line. We'd say, service errors will kill you.
Yeah.
But I always think that's an interesting, even on the indoor game, what's the risk reward of really nailing a serve, right?
Sure.
Making it difficult for your opponent, but also putting that at peril with hitting it into the net or long or whatever else.
Right. We like to think of it as like a sliding scale. So maybe if we're playing someone that we don't think can side out at a high level, or we're not too worried about them scoring on us, our defense is pretty good against this team, then we're going to want to keep it in a little bit more. But when we play USC on Friday, we're going to crank up the serving a little bit, because the risk reward is a little bit better. If we can get them out of like a bad pass, our chance of defending them is a little bit better. On the men's indoor side, that scales all the way up all the time because the men are so effective. It's like they just go for it. So if you ever watch a men's collegiate match, that men's national championships, I think, is this Friday night, they're just serving that thing as hard as they can every time because if they get a good pass, those guys are going to put it away.
Yeah, it's hard to defend it. Give me a different. USC obviously seems like the queen of the sport.
They are right.
What's the difference? Like how? I mean, if you take a 1 versus 16 in women's basketball now, it's a pretty big difference on the men's side too, by the way. But why are they so good? Is it just better athlete? And how much separation is there?
It's kind of that thing where it's like the rich get richer. So they've won the national championship the last 2 years, or maybe even 3 at this point. There's only 2 teams that have ever won the national championship since it became an NCAA sport. It's UCLA and USC. And so
makes sense.
Yeah. So they're going to get the top of every freshman class, right? So if you're the best freshman in that class, you're going to go to USC or UCLA. That's kind of how it's been here as of recent. But it's not. The nice thing about beach volleyball is that you're separated by a net, and you can handle things on your side of the net. So if you can pass okay, you can set okay, you can put some balls away, you can hang with teams. It's not like we're going to get out physicaled by like a basketball team, right? They're not going to dunk on us. So they're going to be a little bit bigger at some flights. But I think we have ways to kind of, mitigate that and still be able to score and do different things. So we're not going to get blown out. But I think we'll be right there.
Okay, good. One other quick thought. You mentioned this, I think, in a commercial break to us. Like the juniors, the kids coming up are really good, really right? Good. Like because of the growth of this sport, which also to me is nice, probably from a college coach perspective. It doesn't mean you don't go to the portal, but it maybe mitigates a little bit of all the portal stuff the way all these other sports have to deal with it. Is that true?
That's absolutely true. It helps because, obviously for all other sports, you got someone that's got some college experience. We can grab them, we can insert them right away. But you got to compare them against these juniors that are coming up that a lot of them have been playing since 10, 11 years old. And they're starting to get better and better coaching. They're playing, a lot of them are playing like 30, 40 tournaments a year. They're traveling all over the place. Beach volleyball is kind of a sport where they have all these different national championships and big tournaments. And these girls are flying to California, to Gulf Shores, to Florida, all over the place and playing high-level volleyball for, 365 days out of the year. And so you're getting some really good talent. I think I was telling you earlier that, some of not even my 24 class, my 25 class, some of those players are at a level right now where they could probably start on a lot of college programs, and they still got another year or so of competing and getting better before they get to us. So it definitely makes you consider a lot when you start looking at the portal.
Oh, that's good. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of a neat spot to be in and different than the college landscape as it sits in most sports. Well, hey, heck of a job. First of all, good luck this weekend. Good to learn a little bit more about the beach volleyball program here at UNF. You guys leave on Thursday?
We leave tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. Yep. All right. Good trip to Gulf Shores and good luck in that opening round.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. When we come back, our blocker at the net rejoins us. That's Austen Lane at 6'6". Brent Austen Show rolls on from the University of North Florida on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jacks team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
Soccer season is back in Northeast Florida with the return of the Jacksonville Armada under-23 men's team. The boys in blue kick off the National Premier Soccer League season on the road Saturday, May 4th at Naples United FC, with all eyes on the home opener May 11th against Global Soccer Pathways. All home games in the 2024 regular season will be played at Southern Oak Stadium on the campus of Jacksonville University, with fans able to secure their tickets at jacksonvillearmada.com. New this summer, the Fleet has added an under-23 women's team competing in the WPSL. That season starts on the road on May 18th with their home opener May 25th, also at Jacksonville University. To learn more on the Armada's recent partnership announcement with Jacksonville FC and the MLS Next program, as well as a fun collaboration with Ruby Beach Brewing, be sure to follow the Fleet on social media at Jax Armada FC.
What a week for the UNF Ospreys, swooping to some championships. Men's tennis last week, and over the weekend, it was beach volleyball celebrating a title. The Ospreys men's golf team is headed to the NCAA regionals as well, and the River City Rumble is in the books for the 2023-2024 athletic year. And the Ospreys are keeping the barrel. A lot to follow heading into May. You can do that at unfospreys.com for news, schedules, results, and more. unfospreys.com.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jax, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jax is always on. Now, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jax 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jax 24/7.
Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one-card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One-card poker is like war as a kid, you against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun. It's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Do you have ugly concrete around your home or business? Are you tired of concrete that is cracked, stained, or just plain ugly? Spartan Coatings' range of products provides a surface that is non-porous, easy to clean, antibacterial, and slip-resistant, all with superior durability.
Living in Florida nearly my whole life, I know the toll our weather can take on a garage floor. That's why I had Matt and the crew from Spartan Coatings transform this space. And the best part? They did it in one day.
It was a professional process from step one. The polyurea and polyaspartic system provides superior flexibility, is 4 times stronger than epoxy coatings, and will withstand temperatures high and low. Plus, it comes with a 20-year warranty. Whether it's a garage floor, patio, pool deck, driveway, or your interior flooring, Spartan Coatings has you covered. To get started transforming your ugly concrete surfaces, call 904-671-3930 or visit SpartanCoatings.com today for your free quote.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
We might have the Brent and Austen Olympics coming up here soon. We just come over to UNF. We play pickleball, beach volleyball, play a little tennis as well. We go to the gym. The gym's right there. I mean, the weight room and the facility there. So if there's anything else we want to do, I probably won't participate in that. We got
power cleaning or something?
Yeah.
Squat rack?
The Osprey Olympics.
I like it.
Brent and Austen Osprey Olympics.
I'm not mad at it, Brent.
That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah. My first time ever seeing pickleball in person, pretty intense.
Yeah. I was explaining it to you a little bit. Mm-hmm. I think you'd like it. Like, it's one of those sports that you're like, yeah, whatever, right? You kind of, I had that same thing, and then it gets very addicting.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's almost like the Ted Lasso of sports, where it's like everyone talks about it, everyone wants to hype it up, but I'm all set. But very wholesome, you know?
Yeah, you just want to be contrarian.
I don't want to be
contrarian. You don't want to fall in line.
I just want to live, man. Yeah. I just want to live my own way.
But I think, like, you would be really good at, like, how are you at hand-eye sports?
I mean, I have to be pretty good, you know, with punching in a certain area.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah. That's true. Mm-hmm. Football's not really, from your perspective, a defensive. That's not. I mean, you think hand-eye, you think catching the pass, right?
Yeah, you do. But also, it's a lot of hand placement, you know, and reacting to like where the like your tackle's hands would be. So there's some hand-eye coordination there.
And you played baseball, and you're a good baseball player.
Good baseball player, you know. sent us to the Little League World Final, or the Wisconsin Finals off a home
your
run.
best moment.
Best moment in my life. Really peaked way too young in my life.
So, like, the bottom line is, I don't know if you can handle a racket or not. That's what I'm getting at. Did you play ping pong a lot?
I played ping pong a little bit.
In the locker room?
I played tennis growing up as a kid. Just
You did?
For fun. Yeah,
Okay.
I played tennis. But if I could be completely candid here,
Yeah.
so pickleball.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys are using ping pong battles.
It is. It's very ping pongy.
I don't like that. I need a big racket in my hand, Brent.
Yeah, I know.
You know, these big mitts need a big racket. I can't have like a little ping pong paddle and try to run over the court. I don't feel right.
It's really the beauty of the game. See, I'm a big ping pong fan growing up.
Okay.
Like, we played a ton of ping pong. I did like tennis, too, and played some tennis. No, nothing competitive. Well, I shouldn't say that. I played it at college one year.
Really?
When I got redshirted in baseball, we played. We went out and played for the tennis team.
What did Coach say about that?
Anybody know that I lettered in tennis in college?
What did Coach say about that? Is whatever?
Well, they needed some. I think it might have been a club level thing.
But still, like,
it was one of the. Yeah, it was.
even. I mean, like, our coach for intramural basketball was like, you guys better be careful. Like, don't be screwed.
Oh yeah, Coach. Well, I don't think Coach cared about me when I was redshirted.
Gotcha.
Like, who's this kid from Rhode Island? Walking on, he's redshirted. Yeah, who cares if he gets hurt? Like, I don't really think that mattered.
Ouch.
But yeah, I think I was a little bit in that boat looking back.
Aspen's not going to get any money in the donation
It
bid
took a while.
anytime soon.
That was a couple of coaches later.
It took a while.
It took a while. But yeah, the tennis thing, it's something I always forget about. It's like, damn, we played college, like, club tennis or something. I think it was a club level team.
Yeah.
But I don't even remember it. I'd have to ask my buddy Pat. That was the best. My best friend Pat came out to college. I say came out with me because I think I kind of dragged him out there or whatever.
Yeah.
But he came out for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
So he survived the year and a half out there. And so we played together the club tennis.
Okay.
And so it was a blast. Like, we had fun doing it because there was no expectation. Like, there were some guys that were pretty good. Like, we were very average.
Yeah.
And I do remember this one event. I don't know where it was, but it was windy as hell. And it was, I mean, that tennis, I never played tennis like in wind like that.
Yeah.
That thing was blowing all over the place. You couldn't control anything. And that's what I remember the most about it. I have no idea if we won matches, lost matches. I don't even know. But I remember this windy day that we played in a match. I was like, but anyway, long story short is, pickleball is that combination of tennis and ping pong.
Can you play with two people? Like two?
Oh, yeah. Doubles is actually more fun. Like, doubles, I think, is more fun.
I'm going to tell you right now, unless my son's playing with me, there's no way I'm going to play with the double. Like, I'm too big, man.
Well, that's why I'd like to be on your team. And I was telling you, you'd be good because you can't go in the kitchen. That's what they call that area, right? Between the net and that line.
Yeah, that's
and
what
you
I do
can't
with
go
my
in the
cooking,
kitchen.
too.
And so people, like, I try to lob it over people's heads sometimes, but you would have, like, no room to lob it.
Oh, no.
Your reach would be 8 feet.
We're going straight, just side hits, side hits, because that's a term.
I think,
I
I think you got a chance to be pretty good at pickleball. Now, what people don't understand about pickleball is it's really a finesse game that happens at the net.
That's okay, Brent. I'm going to bring some power into it and see what happens.
But you can, like, hit people and, like, just hit them.
I will, yeah.
Absolutely blast them.
Obviously.
Like, you like that part.
Well, yeah, that's, I mean...
Cup check.
That's, no, cup check. That's coming from my youth, man. We used to play, you know what sting pong is?
No.
So sting pong is ping pong, but basically if you lose, you got to this is one of...
I think I know where you're going.
You know where we're going with it. So if you lose, like, the set, you have to turn around and pull up your shirt, and then someone can, as hard as you can. But you got to keep in mind, you can try to go as hard as you can, but then you're probably going to miss.
Yeah.
You got to aim it, and then you throw the ball up, you sting it, and then obviously if it hits their back, you get a point.
It really stings.
That's what we call sting pong. Yeah, that's what we were playing in Wisconsin back.
Today you'd be arrested.
Yeah, that's a good point, huh? Hazing and all that stuff. Yeah.
The mom would be like,
I'd
pressing charges.
I would come home with welts on my back. My mom's like, what happened to you? I'm like, oh, sting pong. She's like, oh, you guys. Yeah. Nowadays, we're getting, like, the Supreme Court involved.
Hey, let's, I want to get NBA, NHL in just a minute, too. But what do you think right now the weakest position on the Jags roster is?
Oh, good question. The weakest position. Put me on the spot. I mean, I would say position group, probably offensive line.
Jack Antor and Jax is going to love you.
Okay, well, here's why I say that. Because it was by far one of the biggest Achilles heels last year, and you replaced the center position of Mitch Morse, but everything else is the same. I think like the defensive line, you've made some upgrades, right? You've addressed it in the draft a little bit. Like,
yeah.
I would say offensive line.
Well, I think my mind goes to two spots.
Okay.
Cornerback and offensive line.
Okay.
And I joked on Twitter, I think yesterday or today, I was like, kicker. Because right now they don't have. I mean, look, that's been a legit problem for them, and I don't know if they solved it with Cam Little, but I'm not going to get into it.
Are you surprised they didn't keep Joey Slye at least for a little competition?
Like, a little bit. Yeah, I don't get that.
I don't get that either.
I'm not sure. Obviously, they believe in Cam Little that much, maybe.
Well, sure. Let's see it for ourselves first.
Who's to say they won't pick somebody else up? But yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting.
Okay.
So, offensive line. This kind of. Gigantor and Jax on social media kind of mentioned it, and it's like, hey, I got to have my win there of offensive line. He's been on the offense. He wanted them to pick offensive line, and he didn't. And I could sense that. I could see that. What I would say about the offensive line, what I have a trouble with the offensive line is I think individually they have been so much better. Like, the parts have been better than the sum. I can make a case for Anton Harrison. I can make a case for Sheriff. I can make a case for Cam Robinson. I think he gets a little. We don't know Ezra Cleveland enough to be able to make a case, but I can make a case for Walker Little. And heck, I can make a case for Tyler Shatley backing him up. Like, I've seen these guys play good enough ball and be part of good enough stuff.
Brent, I was 10 years old watching Tyler Shatley play. I know. I know how good Tyler Shatley is.
But they still haven't been able to piece it all together. That's where I think my disconnect with a lot of other people on the offensive line. Like, I don't think it's as bad as everybody says, but that thing has got to play as a unit and as a group, and they haven't played well. Was that all because of Luke Fortner? I think that's unfair to say all because of Luke Fortner. Will it get an upgrade, and will it be better and more cohesive with Mitch Morse? You will throw guys back out there that have played a lot of football together outside of Mitch Morse, because they're basically bringing out their offensive line from the last couple of years. Ezra Cleveland's coming back from the back end of last year. And now you throw Mitch Morse, who's played a lot of football, in there too. So there are signs of it. But I would ask the question this way too: who's the stud?
Who's the stud of offensive line?
Yeah, like, and this might support your case of I think it's the weakest one. Like, who's the star? You could say the Jags aren't deep enough at pass rush, but they've got two stars potentially, and definitely one with Josh Allen. But Trayvon Walker might be one too.
Yeah,
like, who is the star? Sheriff is no longer the star. He was the decorated one.
He was the decorated one, but also he was the highly paid one that I felt like was supposed to be brought in to be the star.
Yeah.
To be the anchor.
But I just think time has passed that by. It's not his fault. I think Father Time has caught up. Like, Anton Harrison, maybe he's a star. He might be. We don't know enough yet. Cam Robinson is probably what you would say if you had to pick one guy to go to a Pro Bowl out of that offensive line. I think people would pick Cam Robinson.
So here's the thing. Yeah, I think you'd pick Cam Robinson just from the credentials, from the resume. But if you're asking me, I think it's the most important piece of the offensive line is the star. I think that's Mitch Morse. Now, like,
center position,
I mean, is it a sexy position? Absolutely not. Is he going to get all the limelight? Absolutely not. But I think in terms of talking about a cohesiveness, I think that offensive line is going to run through him. And I think the success of this offensive line will be because of him. So while it's not the biggest position, it's not the most known position, and he's not even like the most known player on the offensive line, I think he could be the most important.
I think he's the most important for a variety of reasons. One, he's your most notable upgrade to what you had last year if you're going to keep it the same. I still think, like, the upside, the potential, the $20 million guy right now is obviously Sheriff's got making a lot of money, but also is Cam Robinson. Cam Robinson has to deliver. Cam Robinson has to have his best year. He's got to stay healthy. He's got to be on the field. He's got to lead this group. They are obviously showing a trust in him. They're showing a belief in him. He's got to answer that bell. I think this is a big year for Cam. I mean, there's plenty of reasons to love Cam Robinson. I like Cam Robinson a lot, too. But they said, hey, we're going to keep you making the same amount of money. We think you're a valuable part of it. But you got to come show us, too, now. You got to deliver. So I expect for a big year out of Cam Robinson. I think I would buy into him being like a Pro Bowl caliber player more than anyone else on that offensive line. Sheriff is the most decorated, but I think it's passed him by. Obviously, left guard in Ezra Cleveland. We'll see. I don't think Mitch Morse is that level of a player at center. I think he's an upgrade from Fortner. I don't think he's an elite center in the National Football League. And I think Anton Harrison has a really bright future. I think hopefully he takes another step and could be good. But so you say the weakest position there. I thought you were going to say cornerback.
Yeah,
I think those are the position groups that you wonder about the most.
Yeah, exactly. And I go off last year, like, was it an issue at corner? Absolutely. But once again, I think the glaring hole last year was the offensive line, and the only thing that's been done to address it is Mitch Morse. So, I mean, does changing the center around, does that fix all your problems? I guess we'll find out, right? But, yeah, I would lean towards offensive line more than corner right now.
Yeah, the thing about corner now is that if I ask the same question, who's the star? You'd probably lean Tyson Campbell.
Josh Allen. Josh Allen's a star in getting the quarterback faster. Yeah. But no, I mean, if we're asking who the star is in the secondary or at the cornerback position, then yeah, I'm going Tyson Campbell. And it's unproven.
And even that's unproven. That's a big kind of guess. I mean, it's really not I don't think it's that different than a Cam Robinson prediction because they've shown some good stuff, but they also haven't shown enough of being like Pro Bowl caliber guys, star players. I actually think you can make the case there's more proven in the offensive line room individually than there is proven in the cornerback room.
True.
That you can rely on.
Yes.
But again, that unit works so much together.
Right? Yeah, it's about the cohesiveness.
So anyway, I think that's pretty interesting to see what they might be able to address. Because here's the deal. I don't think they're addressing offensive line at all until we play a football game in September. I think there is a chance they address cornerback still and pass rush depth still. But those aren't necessarily your weakest positions.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get you. And I think they kind of share, the Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke share that Brent Martineau philosophy. It's like, I know people aren't talking about it. I like this offensive line. I heard that from you how many times the past couple of years? Even when I wasn't on the show anymore, I still heard that, hey, no one's really talking about this, but I kind of like them.
Yeah.
And say what you want about it now, but I mean, they obviously like them. They're sticking with them. Set aside from the center position, yeah, it comes down to the cohesiveness, Brett. Like, I don't know if we have to rearrange a team outing with the offensive line to try to get some more chemistry.
I think
together.
they got plenty of that.
Okay,
dinner's on Thursday nights.
Okay,
I think listen, I think there's you want to go an underrated coach that has some heat on him. Everybody's talking Press Taylor's name.
Yeah.
I think Phil Rauscher's got some heat on him. They got to perform better. I think if the way people talk about their offensive line, the way you think about their offensive line, the fact that Phil Rauscher, and I like Phil, I think he got a lot of good stuff in 22. I had high hopes that they would even grow more in 23. I think there's, when your position does what they did and you're the coach of it, you take some heat.
Yeah.
And I think it's a big year for Rauscher, who stayed. There could have easily been a change there based on performance, I think. Not being able to get a yard or the development of Luke Fortner or whatever it was. And I also say this, you never know how much a guy like Rauscher vouched for Fortner in the draft process.
True.
Said, hey, this guy's good. This guy's going to be good. And if he did that and then he hasn't been, well, that's on you. Now, Ezra Cleveland's another guy that he helped bring over here, I think, because he had worked with Cleveland in Minnesota. So, again, now he's got to get the most out of these guys.
Is it just me, though, with the whole Luke Fortner thing? We weren't really talking about him in a negative capacity his first year, were we? Or was he always kind of...
No, I think what happened was the craziest thing about the Fortner stuff to me is, we weren't doing the show together, but we had... Clay would come on weekly, Clay Harbor, and he came to camp one time, too, and after the first two games, we had Clay Harbor on these Wednesdays, and he was like, get Fortner out of there.
Huh.
The guy's terrible.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, he was killing him. Absolutely killing him. And after that, it was like he got better. It got better and better and better. So much so that I remember a conversation a little bit later on in the year, like a month and a half later or something. Yeah. And Clay was like, I was wrong on that. He's fine. You know what I mean?
Stuck with it. Yeah.
And so what's crazy is it looked like he was an ascending player. You heard about him in the first game and a half. First game and a half was bad for Fortner. And he was a rookie. And then after that, it was like,
playing a hard position.
Yeah, a little slower climb. We knew he was smart, blah, 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 blah. Well, then last year, it just bubbled into, no, he's not playing well. He's just not playing well. And, I know we were going to do some things with Fortner just on some of our stuff, and he didn't really he was like, I got to focus on this more. He was locked. He wasn't into the outside stuff because he didn't feel like he was even playing well at times. And then obviously the noise that surrounds that, right? And that's why there's an element of this that I think is a little blown out of proportion to the point. I don't know if he's as bad as everybody's made him out to be. Right? But it's an obvious problem, too. Like, it was an obvious problem that needed to be addressed. I think it's very interesting to see how the Jags have handled it. The Jags, and I'm talking Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke, they have been very reluctant to put blame on it the way the fans have. They're trying to keep the player confident.
Well, that's what it's all about.
And, and he's a player's coach in that respect.
That's his job as a coach, yeah.
But even to the point where mentioned in the draft luncheon, I think somebody mentioned Mitch Morse, and Doug or Trent, I can't remember which one, was like, yeah, whether it's Morse or Mitch or Luke. And I was like, wait a minute.
Relax.
This isn't an either-or thing, right?
Come on.
I mean, you went out and got a guy to upgrade the position, but it was interesting that they're still like, this is a battle. We're going into this as a battle. And I get some of that from a coach's perspective.
It's
but
the speak.
They've kind of white-gloved them a little bit in terms of, hey, we don't want to just kill this guy. We see some talent. We want to keep his confidence here, and we don't want to bury him like the way the fans have.
No, I hear you. And I understand that because a lot of it is confidence and building up your player, and I respect that, from a coach or from a GM's perspective. But also, if you're Trent Baalke, you call it Mitch Morse. You're not being, hey, Mitch, I know you got a great thing in Buffalo, great quarterback there, pretty good offense and everything. You guys run the ball really well. You're a starter there. You're a staple there. How about you come try to earn a starting spot here in Jacksonville? No, let's be honest. You paid him this much money. He's going to be the starter going forward. That is what it is. Like, I get, trying to stick up for your guy, but the writing's also on the wall.
Yeah.
Mitch Morse is going to be your starting center, knock on wood, pending any injury come week 1.
Yeah, he better be. There's one other mystery around the Fortner stuff that I think will it'll come out later on. It's not going to come out now. And I wonder how it shakes out eventually. And even if you can believe it, when stuff comes out later on, you never really fully believe it.
Dateline NBC, Brent, what do you got for us here? Let's go.
The thing that's interesting to me is if everybody else knows that Fortner's not playing great football, and you have Tyler Shatley who's played 10 years in the league, and they never went to him. They never went to him last year. They stuck it out with Fortner anyway.
Yeah.
Even as he's getting blown up on these 3rd and shorts and stuff at the goal line and they never go. And what the thing that I heard, the reasoning was they need an athletic center, right? You're more athletic. Well, don't you need a guy that can move somebody a half a yard before they get athletic? Like, that's the way I would say it. At least try it out. Put him on the bench. Let him sit for a week.
Yeah.
And they never did it. So was that a Baalke thing? Was that a Doug Stubborn thing? Was that a Rauscher thing? And I can't figure it out. Okay, who said we can't even try this if everything is getting blown up because of the guy in the middle and we're not even trying to go to plan B? If that happens with Devin Lloyd when he's running around and can't get anything working his rookie year, they put Chad Muma in the game and they took Lloyd off the field.
Yeah. Well,
why didn't you take Fortner off the field?
I mean, it's a great point, but I also think that some players can handle getting benched differently. I think there's some quarterbacks out there where when they got benched, they never responded correctly, and you never saw the same type of player again. I'm not sure the personality archetype of a Luke Fortner, of what he brings in terms of if you benched him, how do you respond to that? But also I think, one of the coach's worst things is their ego. And I think a coach can be like, hey, we brought this guy in. We've seen a lot of good. Let's just keep him out there because we can get the best out of him eventually. Okay, something's not clicking right now. Let's try some kind of different philosophy, but we'll get the best out of him. Obviously, you didn't last year, and now you have Mitch Morse, and Luke Fortner will be riding pine. But I think sometimes coaches just see, hey, we brought this guy in for a reason. I can get the best out of him, and you never do.
Yeah, I call that stubborn.
Sure, ego, stubborn. I mean, call it what you want, man. But we see it all the time.
Yeah, I do. I just thought at some point, if this is really, which by the way, it elevated to a degree where it was like, this is all Luke Fortner's fault and nobody else's fault. Like that's where it elevated.
That's
to,
what it seemed like.
Which almost is unfair to him too. Like I just think that's a little bit unfair to him. And maybe as a coach, you protect him and get him out of there for a little bit and for the rest of your team. Like, what does it say to the rest of your team if you got a guy in there that's really not getting the job done? Mm-hmm. Like, if all that's factual. So I just thought that part was really interesting, and I'd love to know some couple years down the road, who was the heavy in the pick of Fortner? Because it felt like they had made their bed, and they were just going to sleep in it. And it didn't matter. Again, you had Tyler Shatley, who's a guy who's played these positions before. It's not like you were going to go throw some undrafted free agent in there. Mm-hmm. They had a guy that had been there and done that many times. And the Jags had functioned just fine when Tyler Shatley came in for Brandon Linder over the years, and Linder was clearly a better center.
Do you think it was more of Doug Peters just because of, coming from Philadelphia, Jason Kelsey, things like that? Like, do you think he had that vision for Fortner?
I mean, maybe. Yeah, listen, they obviously believed in Fortner.
Yeah.
Like, and that's cool. Like, I'm all right with that. But it came to a point they're obviously wrong.
Yeah.
Or at least for the time being, they're wrong. Mm-hmm. And I think they still believe in him to the point where they're bringing Mitch Morse in for a year or so, try to get him to take a seat back, almost like this Mac Jones situation, and then go and hopefully rescue your career.
Yeah.
And maybe Fortner's still the guy down the road. I mean, that will come with some interesting conversation.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
That's my feeling, though, is that they're going to say, hey, we still got you under contract for a couple of years, and we believe in you still. But right now, we just got to get better. We can't do this right now. We got to get better. Or you got to show that you can go beat this guy out and be a hell of a lot better. This might be the best offseason of Luke Fortner's life, right? Yeah. And he takes tremendous growth.
Well, maybe let's go to Arizona.
Again, the smarts are not a problem here. Guy's super intelligent.
Yeah.
But the rest you kind of wonder about. Hey, let's slide Matt Lucas. I was going to take a break. We'll take a break in a couple minutes. Let's slide Matt Lucas in here.
We don't take breaks from Matt Lucas, man. Get him right in the mix.
Because there's a really good chance. There's a really good chance he wants to talk football more than even tennis. What did you? He hit me back on Twitter actually yesterday. He said, "What did you want to talk about yesterday?"
Yeah, I forgot what it was. What were we talking? You said something, and I just
that happens a lot. That happens a lot. Hey, congratulations! Last time we had you were just in our studio, which is like a power serve away. And then you guys go down to Fort Myers and you win the ASUN tournament. Congratulations!
Thank you. Yeah, it was a great weekend for us. Boys stepped up, and I feel like the regular season is a testament to, the duration and the length of that and being strong over, a 7-week period. And then kind of anything can happen in the tournament. Although we were the favorites, everyone was gunning for us and we stepped up and, played some really good ball.
Did you feel a little bit of that? Because that wasn't an easy week. I mean, I know you didn't expect it to be easy, but I mean, you guys got tested quite a bit down there.
We did in the semifinals. Yeah, it was weird because we dominated the doubles in the semis. We won 2 matches really quickly. So we're 3-0 up and we're setting a break up on another court. So it looked like it was going to be 4-0, get off the courts, and hopefully Stetson and Kennesaw were going to battle in the other semifinal. And then that match finished, and we were still finding ourselves in a real dogfight. And credit to Andreas Scott, my sophomore, and he ended up clinching the match 6-3 in the third, and ended up being the tournament MVP. So I think looking back at it now, probably the best thing that happened to us.
Oh, good.
Right, because, nothing's given, right? Championships are earned, and I think if we'd have just rolled through that 4-0, we might have thought, okay, it's going to be easy in the next one. And so it was a late night, a lot of rehab, a lot of ice baths, a good meal, and then we finished around 8 p.m. and we were on the court at 1 the next day. But we really showed up against Stetson and, pretty much had the match. Right after the doubles, I felt really confident.
Doubles was exciting. I think I told you I was watching, or maybe I was telling Nick Morrow. I was actually tuned into that. There was some electricity in that doubles.
It was.
2 of them went to tie breaks.
They did, yeah.
And I think once you got by that, you felt really good. But that was tested. Fun.
Yeah, we won quite easily at 1. Those guys are doubles pair of the year, and you can kind of count on them as a lock at 1. And then at 3, we were actually up pretty much the whole time, and we were getting crushed at 2. 5-1 down in a set to 6, and so it's not looking good, but we thought we'd close it out on 3. They ended up losing in a tiebreaker, and my 2 team came all the way back from 5-1 to win in a breaker.
Crazy.
And that just, like we talked about on the last time I was on, the momentum of that is huge. And so we had a big uplifting feeling, and I could see Stetson, obviously they're going to try to rebound, but it's a little deflating.
I didn't ask you this off the air, so I'll ask you now. I was watching it. It looked like there was a level of controversy in that doubles. What were they talking about?
Court.
Yeah, because you couldn't tell. You
couldn't hear me on there? It's
that was probably a good thing. But what was the discussion?
There was a call on the far sideline. My guy calls it out. It was super loud there. Stetson had their women's team. We had our women's team there. There were probably 150, 200 people there watching. So it's loud, right?
Yeah.
It's a college tennis match, so there's cheering at all times, right? Because people are cheering for court 1 while court 3's playing. And so it's not like Wemby where it's quiet, right? So my guy called the ball out. We had a far ref. The chair umpire didn't hear my guy call it out. We appealed to the far umpire. He confirmed our call is out, but the referee didn't hear my guy call it out and had play continue, and they ended up putting the ball away. And so we called it out. The far sideline confirmed out, but the chair, who's end all be all, said he didn't hear an out call. So then I asked for the supervisor, and it was,
So what did it turn out to be? Did they
we
get
lost the point?
You lost the point. I thought so.
Yeah.
And that was at a critical time.
It was, I think, 4-all.
Yeah, it might have been.
For us to go up a break 5-4 to start for the match. And
so, that looked pretty intense. I was like, uh-oh, somebody's about to get screwed here, it looks like. So now you go to the NCAAs, and you got in the region at Tallahassee, obviously just down the road, Florida State, UCF. It's the Florida Open.
It is the Florida Open. They even said on the selection show last night, we're going to find out who the best team in the state of Florida is. No, we're excited. Obviously, we've been to Tallahassee, played Florida State. Almost every year I've been here. We know how good they are, and they're really hot right now. They got hot and won the ACC tournament. But they even mentioned last night on the show, we've won 13 in a row. So we're hot. We're confident. We're excited. I mean, we know those guys. We know how good they are, but we know how good we are. And so now it's just going to come down to, do we handle the situation well on their home court? It's probably a big crowd. I think we got the 4 p.m. slot on Friday night. So, they're trying to get more fans out there and get an exciting atmosphere. And the boys are excited. I mean, we've been having a good week of practice so far, and after we won on Sunday, we had the mandatory 2 or 3 days off for them to celebrate and enjoy it, and now we've been back to work for about a week.
This is the greatest time in college if you're advancing too, because either exams are in the books or you're all done or whatever, and now it's just ball.
It's literally just. And I told the guys, I said, look, there's only 64 teams in the country right now that still get the opportunity to practice and get better. Right, and that's us. It's like the bowl game in football. Right?
Yeah.
You get those extra practices or whatever it might be. Yeah, so we look at it. It's tiring, right? We're January 5th through now. It's going to be May 5th or so when we finish this weekend. But it's exciting to be in this position to do something that's never been done at UNF, and that's win a round. So.
That'd be pretty cool. We just had Doug on with the beach volleyball. Yeah. Obviously, they win the first A Sun and go to the NCAA tournament, and relatively new program here.
Right.
This is the third time you guys have won the A Sun. Just how important are these moments for your program? Milestones. People have been a part of it.
Yeah.
Recruiting, obviously.
Sure.
For you personally, for the school. I mean, these championships, I know people think about like March Madness in basketball, and we talk about football all the time, but these are big moments, right?
There's nothing like winning a championship, and championships are hard to come by. I don't care what sport, what level, high school, D3, D2, what D1. Most importantly, it's for my guys on the team, right? This is the first time they've won a championship as a group, right? And so we talk about this being my program, but their team. That's one of our kind of sayings in this program is like, look, it's my program, but each year it's you guys' team. So the 2024 UNF men's tennis team are the champions. So that'll go up on the wall there. That'll be never taken away from them. But it's great for the school, our athletic department, as we try to grow this university into, a massive regional university. I think these things help. Right. And they always say athletics is the gateway to a university. And so us winning, Doug and Beach winning, hopefully softball can get one coming up pretty soon. I know they're doing well. Baseball still has to play theirs. So we're excited for, obviously, for my guys first and foremost, for the former athletes that kind of, for our tennis program that helped kind of lay the foundation. But it's been, 5 years since we won one. And so it's nice for these guys to come through in that moment.
Yeah, they're not automatic. And by the way, the thing I like about it is it feels like you should be able to grab some championships here in the state of Florida in some of these sports, and you guys are doing it. Beach volleyball and men's tennis.
Right.
Maybe it is in softball. That's a good sign, I think, in these kind of summery sports, if you will.
Yeah, the country club sports.
Down in Florida, though, they're usually pretty good. You got a lot to pick from.
And I think men's golf will go to a regional.
Good point. They're on their way to the regionals most likely, too.
Their selection shows tomorrow. So, no, it's exciting. We want to thank, obviously, Nick Morrow. I mean, this facility that we have it's unparalleled in the mid-major kind of world for what we have. And we're just excited. I'm excited to be here. I couldn't be more proud to be the coach at North Florida.
Well, these might be the only open pickleball courts in Northeast Florida.
And they're actually quiet right now because it's exam week.
Well, it's exam week.
You should see this place.
I bet.
It is a zoo. And there's people everywhere. Got to get you and Austin out here, play a little pickleball one day.
I'm trying to get them in it.
I mean, one step and Austin is covering the whole court.
That's it. That's how you try to lob against that.
Yeah, there's not much lobbing in pickleball. It's mostly dinking, so he's got to bend down and get low. But this is a great setup, and we're only improving the facilities around here.
All right. Well, you got to hold off on that golf game for a couple of weeks, right?
Hold off on that, and we'll see how it goes. But we're pumped, and the boys they know we can win this match.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which is a great feeling as a coach going into it. You know, they're not. We talked about we're not going there just to, you know, our season didn't end on Sunday, right?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
We're a 4 seed, but we're going there to win a match.
Yeah, it's really cool, but don't be satisfied. And it's a wild thing, like your sport. It was cool to see the team element, and I announced the ASUN last year.
Yeah, last year.
But you could tell the team aspect is really cool because we think of tennis as more of an individual sport.
Yeah.
But then it does become a little individualized where if you just take care of your own, right? Or if you go get the upset, or if you go just have your best day.
Yeah.
That's how like those upsets happen, maybe in Tallahassee this weekend.
Absolutely, yeah. Each guy's got to just take care of their court. And then I told them there's going to be a moment in this match where the momentum of the dual match, the momentum of their individual match will be there for the taking. And then there's the aspect of the team momentum. And we've got to be willing to step up in those moments, be brave, and not be scared of the moment.
Yeah, you got to grab those. If you're going to pull the upset, right, you got to be able to get those moments. Matt Lucas, congrats, by the way. Coach of the Year in the ASUN, and head to the NCAA tournament against Florida State in a regional that includes Florida and UCF as well. Good moment for the UNF Ospreys. Lunch hour right around the corner. We'll take a break. We're live at the University of North Florida. Brent Austen Show, Action Sports Jacks 24/7 Network. You can find us at actionnewsjacks.com and the Action News Jacks app. I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we're a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnicht Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnicht family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 0.9% for eligible buyers on Terrains and no payments for 90 days. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnicht Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at nimnichtbuickgmc.com. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
What started out as better people, better projects just keeps getting, well, better. That's Better Exterior Solutions, ready to help you create a better outdoor experience. Check this out. Motorized pergolas are the latest in technology to transform your outdoor space. Beautiful day? Let the sun shine through. Summer rainstorm? These pergola systems close automatically to keep the weather out. From residential to commercial uses, Better Exterior Solutions has products customized to meet virtually any existing architectural structure. With retractable awnings, screens, and hurricane shutters too, if you want unparalleled quality and expertise, you need Better Exterior Solutions. Get a free estimate by visiting betterexteriors.com or calling 904-902-4999. Better Exterior Solutions. Experience better.
Discover how good your water can be with the new Connecticut softener and drinking water system. Connecticut's twin tank non-electric softeners are the most efficient softeners available, and their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We know that at our home. You can find out as well. Right now, you can save $1,000 or more when you bundle the Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? Well, CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions to improve it. The higher your water score, the better your water. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. That's 904-552-1242, cgcwater.com. Financing options are available with approved credit. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm a proud customer of CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
It's the fishing tournament everyone wants to get in, and it's time for you to register. More than 650 boats entered last summer in the Daly's Old School Kingfish Shootout presented by Yellowfin. Mark the calendar now, June 8th. This is fun for the entire family, and everyone has a chance to win big. Limited boundaries, no bait buying, no checkout. Cash prizes for the top 25 places, cash prizes for the top 10 lady anglers, and prizes for the top 15 junior anglers. The grand prize, this yellowfin bay boat with a 200 horsepower Yamaha and Ameritrail trailer. The value, over $100,000. It's the Daly's Old School Kingfish Shootout. Early entry until the end of May is open and $250. If you don't catch the big one, don't worry. Just catch any size kingfish and have a chance to win $10,000 with the Nimnik Lucky Ticket. OldSchoolKingfish.com. Register early until May 31st at OldSchoolKingfish.com.
New to town or always been in town? Everyone is always looking for a good pizza place. Our place is Donato's Pizza. We love it and still do love it. When I tell my family I'm coming to Donato's, they say, wait a minute, you got to order some for us. So this is not all for me. Let me tell you what the Martineaus get when we put an order in. Well, pepperoni pizza, we usually get more than one of these. And then here's the works, a little bit of everything. And then this is the pizza that can be polarizing for some out there. I don't know why. Hawaiian pizza, some love it, some don't. At Donato's, you're going to love it, especially with that cinnamon sprinkled on top. Try the pizza my family likes or try your favorite. Right now, you can use the code BRENT20 and get 20% off your order. Every viewer and listener is important to us, and at Donato's Pizza, every piece is important. From fresh ingredients to the dedicated team members and you, the valued customer. Donato's Pizza, where every piece comes together for a winning combination. Jack's Beach and Mandarin locations, Donato's Pizza. Every piece is important.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
All right, welcome back here to the University of North Florida. Man, that sun's staying down. It is gorgeous out.
Yeah, it's beautiful right now.
Sun pops a little bit, it gets a little warm.
A little toasty.
I thought we could bake out here all day. It's not as bad. I don't mind doing that. I'm not sure you're as
Man,
into it.
I have more of like that, what would you call it? Nordic blood in me. So, yeah, I prefer more of the shade and then the coolness.
The University of North Florida's cool camp. Like, I'm watching somebody skateboard to their car right now.
Yeah.
Put it in the back.
What, don't they have a lazy river? What can we do the show on the lazy river?
I don't know why we haven't done that. Well, doing the show with all this wire and stuff on the lazy river could be tricky.
Put it in some
so I think that's
bags,
that's
Brent.
That's a good answer.
About?
That's probably a good answer to the why.
It's 2024.
But says Nick, can you get on that? Can we figure that out? How do we go down the lazy river?
Brent Austen from the lazy river.
That's funny. You don't have folks like they don't seem to offer up the lazy river very much. I love them.
I haven't even seen it yet,
but I've
heard of it.
Yeah, I mean,
I watched Mrs. Walsh.
Yeah, Sarah Walsh was the only one.
Walsh or whatever. But yeah, I'm still bitter with her because she bumped me from the NFL Live show. But no, I saw the feature on ESPN with the lazy river.
I certainly think high of Miss Walsh because she was an alum.
Of UNF? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and we're on her campus right now, so I am showing respect. But, don't bump me for Drew Brees. There's enough going on.
Brent Martineau Austen Lane. Rob back in there. We come up with a nickname for Rob.
I got nothing yet.
Huh?
Well, it was,
Bleak is his last name.
Bleak, I know.
I don't know if he wants that out there, but guess what? I'm putting it out.
I didn't think about that.
Hopefully Rob's doing well back there. He's pushing all the right buttons. We're giving him. I'm jumping off camera sometimes. I mean, lighting has been a thing at times, but he's working through it. This is the first time that we've been on a road with Rob.
Yeah, and so far so good. No
he's
issues.
Pulling it off.
Yeah, and I respect him too because I don't hear him in my ear whatsoever.
Quiet. Rob's a pretty quiet guy to begin with.
Rob puts it in cruise control. Cruise control Rob.
It's kind of working.
Yeah.
So cruise control Rob. Is that where we're going?
We'll see. I mean,
we could just call him Bob.
Bob. Yeah, I can do that too.
Hey, the Jaguars draft is obviously over.
It is.
Let's go each round.
Yep.
With a player that you wish they picked and could have.
I like it.
And
like it a lot, Brent.
So in the first round, this gets interesting because you could go the guys behind, but you also could have stayed at 17.
Yeah. Honestly, like doing this exercise, the best possible player that they could have selected, I'm happy with Brian Thomas Jr. Like I'm not going to change from that pick. Yeah, you could go in the cornerback route and everything, but I've been very adamant about this. You've been told me that you're sick and tired of hearing about it, but once again, I'll say it until the cows come home, Brent. You got to help Trevor Lawrence. I think Brian Thomas Jr. helps Trevor Lawrence. So I think the first pick of the Jaguars draft was an A.
Well, listen, I have no problems with the Brian Thomas pick. And this isn't even coming from something where I have a problem with any of the picks. I don't necessarily have a problem with any of the picks.
I gave him a C, though, Brent.
I gave him a C because I think there's a lot of unknowns.
Okay.
Like, obviously, the first round's great, but beyond that, I think we have had discussions now where we don't have definitive answers about these guys. We have no idea if they're really going to be good. There's a lot of boom-bust potential. Are they even getting on the field? Like, to me, that muddies it up. That's why I have a C. Doesn't mean I don't like these players, even the positions they drafted. I think they got a lot of things that could be really good. But I don't know how we can sit here and, like, give it an A and be like, wow, yeah, like, those guys are going to be, like, what do we know about this draft class, or what do we even think we know? The one thing we think we know, and to your point, is Brian Thomas. Like, we can see that. That changes the defense. That guy, we know what he does. We think he has a high ceiling, too. But the floor is even helping your offense out. He gets on the field more than any of these guys outside of kicker. And I would say, though, I still think they could have had Dallas Turner or Jared Verse. I think we could come back to this and say Verse becomes a guy. I think a lot of people would say a Quinyon Mitchell or somebody else.
Yep.
But Verse is going to be the guy to me. I think he's going to be a really good player at this level. I think he's going to impact for the Rams. Now, he would have impacted differently for the Jags because I don't think he's on the field as much as he might be able to get on for the Rams.
Correct.
And there, too, that makes some sense that you would take Brian Thomas.
Yep.
But my guy in this exercise is going to be Jared Verse.
Okay. But if you had the choice then, would you take Verse over Brian Thomas Jr.?
No, I'm okay. I like Brian Thomas Jr. I like helping offense, all that stuff. So no, I'll take I'll take Thomas, but I think the guy that they might miss on is Verse.
Okay, and that's fair. Okay.
All right, go to round 2.
Round 2, then...
And again, the Jags were picking 48 here, so this isn't like, hey, they could have traded up and got this guy. No, you can't play that scenario. They stayed at 48, so you've got to... It's basically going to be somebody that they got 48 beyond.
Correct.
And so the great example here is, do you think they should have taken Chris Jenkins instead of a Mason Smith?
Yeah. So
you don't have to go with that one. I'm just saying.
Well, no, it comes down to Chris Jenkins or Enos Rakestraw Jr. is what I selected.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Jenkins is not on top of mine. It's just the one right after. I think the guy that could be very interesting for them is Sanistro from Michigan. He went at 50.
So, yep. So the only reason why I kind of leaned more towards Rakestraw was because his biggest thing is he gets handsy and causes a lot of penalties. But he also has like that physical mentality. Now he's a little undersized, put some more weight on him. But like I do like the fact of like he kind of I feel like fits that Ryan Nielsen mold. Is not afraid to punch you at the line, can press. So I lean towards him.
I also give you 2 other ones that are interested in my opinion. Braswell on the edge is a guy that was available for them. I think the Jags needed some edge depth. To me, that's a guy that could be really good for you. That could be slow development, help us on 25 plays. Maybe that's better than Mason. Is he going to help? Where did he even go? Is he going to help the Bucks, who, by the way, have been pretty good at identifying these kind of players? Yaya last year, and maybe Braswell turns into that. So is he going to help more than Mason Smith is going to help or would help? I think that's a fair question. And then the other one, from a cornerback situation, the Jags get a Florida State guy in the next bound, but Renardo Green would have been too high to pick him at 48. I think a lot of people would have said over draft, but San Francisco picked him in the last pick of the second round.
True. Yeah.
So a couple other guys there. I'm going to go with Sanistro, who went 2 plays behind, and you could have filled that cornerback spot.
And I'll go with Rakestraw, who can still fill the cornerback spot and just offers a different type of style.
All right, so in the third round, the Jaguars obviously go with 96. Now, there's not a lot on the table here because they were in the back of the bus with a compensatory pick, and they picked Jerry Jones, who, by the way, I like. Would they pick Jackson McKinley or Wilson Payton or Cameron Kitchens?
Haven't said my guy yet.
Luke McCaffrey.
No.
And then after that, you'd have to go into the 4th round. I wouldn't probably take any of those guys for the Jags.
And that's where I went in the 4th round for my guy.
And who do you have?
I picked Layden Robinson.
I know Arona would have taken Troy Franklin.
I know, exactly. And I got to have the hard conversation. Hey, man, I took a guy in the 1st round. Can't do that. I took Layden Robinson at Texas A&M. Biggest thing with him is people are saying is that lacks a lot of technique. Is a liability a little bit in the pass game, but the results speak for themselves on film in terms of how he can push people out of the way, and I do like that.
Yeah,
so
I got to be honest with you here. There's nobody that jumps out to me.
Okay.
Like, I like the Jarrion Jones pick. I really do.
What's good, and I'm not saying the Jarrion Jones pick is bad.
Yeah,
I'm just saying if I went another direction, I would go with the interior,
I don't mind that.
Of the offensive line, and I would go with Layden Robinson.
Now, again, depending on what you did, like if I went Sanisro, then defensive tackle comes into play, like a Boagbe or something from Alabama, then that might be the way to go. Again, a lot of this is position. What did you check the box with in your other things?
Yep.
All right, so there wasn't a lot of wiggle room there because the Jaguars really will take these two picks, Javon Foster and Jordan Jefferson. They were two out of these next three picks. So anybody beyond them, they took offensive tackle, defensive tackle. You had an offensive guard out of South Dakota State, Mason McCormick, go. Mm-hmm. You've got, you had a punter go. There was that Torrey Taylor guy. And, I mean, you really have running backs and tackles and a run on running backs here. TJ Tampa's in this is one you could take.
So if it was me at pick 114, I'm actually going to take Jordan Jefferson at 114. And then 116, I'm taking Austin Booker, who I think could be the sleeper of the draft.
Really?
Austin Booker out of Kansas. Yeah, the Bears got him, if I'm not mistaken. I remember we did like one shock your mock about him, but the more I read about him, the more I liked. The biggest thing with him is he doesn't have a lot of reps. But like what he's shown is pretty legit. And I think the NFL comparison, at least according to Lance Zierlein, was Max Crosby.
Okay, yeah. Booker out of Kansas, the edge. I'll tell you the guy that I thought he might fall to the Jags and still be there. Now, they ended up taking DeAndre Prince later on, but I thought the kid out of Notre Dame's a good player at corner, and that's Cam Hart.
Yep.
So I thought maybe that was one that they could have got. Again, it looks like you would have overdrafted a little bit, though. Jags were picking in the middle of that fourth round. He's a player that went, I think, in the early part of the fifth round. Now we're really getting into, just throw a dart.
Yeah.
Because we're in the fifth round. DeAndre Prince is who they take. I have a hard time faulting them for taking a guy like DeAndre Prince.
And honestly, after Austin Booker at 116, I kind of just let the draft ball where it did.
Yeah, and it's probably the way to go.
Yeah,
there are some big names, like bigger names, like Jeremiah Trotter Jr., right? Could that have been so? And that's a linebacker. I think everybody would have lost their mind if they picked another linebacker. But there's a bunch. Everybody has their favorite player. One guy we didn't talk about a lot, different this conversation, is Jordan Travis finds a home in New York. And Jordan Travis, to me, is kind of a real cool player in the collegiate level. Great story. And ends up really in a good spot in New York now to just sit behind Aaron Rodgers and settle in. Yeah. And I wonder about his career. I mean, he ends up going, that would have been late fifth round.
Yeah.
I wonder what kind of career he will have in college. Could he be a find, or does he just not have the NFL game?
I mean, it seems like the way the NFL game is going, it almost does tailor to him a little bit more, Yeah, I mean, time will tell with Jordan Travis. It has to come in the right situation, when his number gets called. I mean, there's a lot of things to like from him. I mean, being that dual threat guy, like any coach would take that. So I'm not going to write him off and say he won't be an NFL quarterback. I think he could find himself in the right situation. Maybe has some moderate success.
Yeah, I like what you're saying. I mean, his ability to move. Now, he's not a big guy, so you got to be careful about how much you get hit. He's not an electric guy, I don't think, in terms of the running game. So you're not, if you think about a lighter player like Lamar Jackson getting hit, well, he doesn't get hit squarely ever because nobody can catch him or hit him. Jordan Travis isn't that way. I think Jordan Travis is an extremely smart player. I love the fact that he's got so much experience playing the game. I love his evolution, which shows me maybe he's still got more of a ceiling to go get because of where he was 3-4 years ago versus where he could be going. And now he gets to soak it in. There'll be no rush to get him in there. He'll get an opportunity at some point, is my guess, I hope, at some point early in his NFL career. And when I say early, I mean the first couple of years. And then that opportunity might be like the only one he gets. So whatever he takes from the Aaron Rodgers of the world and everything, he's going to be a great guy in a room. Yeah. I mean, you figure this is a dude that could be a backup quarterback for the next 15 years in the NFL.
Correct. Absolutely.
I just don't know if he can, for whatever reason, it doesn't translate. So, I mean, one of the best quarterbacks in the country last year, which is fascinating to me. College basketball works this way, and the NFL works this way, too.
Yeah.
You take some of these top guys in the collegiate game, and they just don't translate to that next level for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, I mean, but be easy on Edie now, Brent. He's going to look on the Bucks next year in the second round, okay? He's going to be fine.
Yeah, second round guy, but I mean, we can go all the way back to what's his name from the guy that sticks out the most to me. I mean, well, Tebow can stick out a little bit, but the guy that stands out is basketball, North Carolina. Shoot.
Tyler Hansborough?
Yeah.
But yeah.
But he couldn't play in the NBA.
No.
And he was terrific in college.
Yeah, I think when they player of the year.
That's what's funny. Like, when you think about it, like, I'm not sitting here looking at mock drafts, okay, in college, the college basketball season for the NBA. Doesn't do anything for me. We don't talk about it that much. I'm not doing it. So when halfway through, like in December or whatever, and I look up and I'm like, well, Zach Edey must be like a top 5 pick, right? Because everybody's talking about it.
You'd be surprised.
Might not be a pick.
You'd be surprised.
They might have gotten into the late first round, but in the second. But that's just stunning almost that you can have that much success at that level. Which, by the way, it's not the only developmental league too. That's different. Now Europe's a developmental league. Yeah, now you got high school. Obviously, you got the high school or G League or whatever, the D League, whatever it is now. But you have these leagues. In football, though, like, that is your development league.
Yeah, it's what's wild is, and like, I don't want to misspeak here, but like, Zach Edey's game, it's very polished, right? Like, he was the player of the year for Purdue. Very polished, traditional big man. You don't see a lot of those guys anymore. I get all that, but like, he has a very refined game already. But there's going to be 20 players that scored a lot less than him, that contributed a lot less than him, that had not even close to the success as he did in the tournament, that will get selected before him because it's almost about, like, well, we see the potential.
Yeah.
Like, I guess it comes down to, with Edey, it's like, is there a lot more to go from him, or is what you get what you get?
Yeah.
I'm almost looking at, like Ant now in Minnesota.
Okay.
Like, where he was drafted. Okay. He was drafted that high because, he was a great, player in college and everything, but also it was like, well, this guy could be the next big thing eventually, and we'll see. But, I mean, now it's like, yeah, the guy's a real deal. He's willing the Minnesota Timberwolves over KAT. He's willing the Minnesota Timberwolves to a pretty good playoff run, it looks like. So I just think especially in the NBA, Brent, and especially in basketball, you always base more off the potential as opposed to like the refined polisher.
I get that. So what you're saying is, I think I think some of this is a physical thing. Some of this is a trait. Like, you take Edey, he's a unicorn in the college game. There's nobody that can. He is so different. He can walk and chew gum, and he's 7'4". Like, that does not happen. There are 7-foot guys, but they cannot walk and chew gum. Like,
Brent, Wemby can walk and chew gum, parallel park, and play at the same time.
Different guy.
I know. Okay, but
that's why he's the lottery pick. Yeah, but I'm just saying that height is such a unicorn at the collegiate level that you have so few of those guys that I can see why. Okay, you can dominate on offense, and you actually can dominate even on defense just because you can rim protect. But what got exposed a little bit in the UConn game is the fact that that pick and roll game, right? That 2-on-1 game. Now you're not moving as fast, and also where I thought people would hammer Edey is physically, can he hold up? Can he hold up against the bruisers of the NBA? Doesn't matter, you're 7'4". Everybody plays like the 7'4" in the NBA, right? Mm-hmm. So I can kind of see the logic of it. The other side with Jordan Travis is, I think a little bit is from a physical standpoint, but I wonder if most of it goes back to your projection and ceiling part of it. Can you make the case that Jordan Travis reached his ceiling at FSU?
Well, yeah. See, and this is, I mean, you can make an argument for sure. This, to me, is the biggest difference between the NBA and the NFL, especially in drafting. In the NFL, like, very rarely, especially in the first round, do you draft just based off of the potential. Like, you have to see the results on film. Yeah. You have to have success at the collegiate level over potential. Now, sometimes, like, there's certain players, I'm not trying to think of one, but, like, in the NBA, that's all it is potential. Like, you don't need the refined, polished player. Like, you don't need, I'm trying to think of the Tyler Hansboroughs, the Zach Edeys, the Adam Morrisons, the Jimmer Fredette. You don't want those guys. You want the guys that still have room to grow. In the NFL, it's not like that.
Well, so much of it, too, in basketball is every answer to this, most every answer to this, not every, comes down to, can they play defense? Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, that was the question about even a guy like Grayson Allen, right? I think that was definitely the question about Fredette. And where's the give take? What's the plus minus? Because you got to play both ends of the floor. We can't sub you out on defense. Every trip down. So I think, and that's where Edie's going to come into play, right? I think the same type of thing. So, I mean, I kind of get it. But Travis is an interesting one to me. We've seen other examples of this over, like the dude, some guys can play. Like if Gardner Minshew can come out the way he played in college, right? Not ballyhooed, 6th round pick. If Gardner Minshew can play and have success in the NFL, why can't Jordan Travis?
Good call.
Like, I mean, Jordan Travis is a better athlete than Minshew.
Yeah.
Seems like a very intelligent player, which is a strength of Minshew.
It's one of his biggest.
I think has better size than Minshew.
Yeah. Can probably run better than Minshew.
Run in, probably
Minshew
throw
can
it.
run, scramble,
maybe better.
Yeah.
Arm strength-wise and stuff. So that's why I say, okay, well, if that guy can do it, and I check the box more on Travis on a lot of these other traits, first of all, hats off for Minshew for being able to get through all that stuff and still be able to have success. But to me, that says, hey, if we put Jordan Travis in the right situation, or if he gets opportunity, I think he has a chance to be very successful here. Because, the one thing that Minshew had that I think Travis has, a lot of experience.
Yeah.
He bounced around, experience. A new playbook wasn't a new thing. Now, that might be different than Travis, but playing a lot. Like, I do think we miss that sometimes. I think we get these. That's a problem with Mason Smith. Mason Smith, the second round, my problem with him is he hasn't played a lot.
Yeah, we don't know.
So it's really hard. I like the kid that's played a lot. Now, you don't like the running back that's had too much.
Well, yeah. Well, keep in mind, though, I mean, traditionally, yes. But that was the big knock on Derrick Henry, is that he ran way too much in college.
It was, and it didn't matter.
And listen, I think we said every single year, okay, this is the year that Derrick Henry kind of slows down a little bit. And maybe Derrick Henry did slow down a little bit. And then the last game of the season, he showed, okay, well, hey, guess what? I still have some left in the tank. Baltimore could give me a new contract, and we'll do our thing in Baltimore.
Yeah, I do think Jordan Travis is in a good spot, which not too many people say that about New York Jets often, but I do think it feels like he's in a pretty good situation right now going into the NFL. And by the way, a little... at least on our schedule, I don't like to over-tease this, but we are scheduled to be joined on Friday while we're down at Best Bet St. Augustine. Now, he won't be in person. He's going to jump on the show from Tallahassee, Mike Norvell, and talk a little bit about Jordan Travis and also Jerry and Jones and Florida State and what they just did in the draft. So we hope to be joined, and right now scheduled to be joined on Friday while we have our big party down there at Best Bet St. Augustine by Mike Norvell. We're having a two-man party right here at the University of North Florida right now. Brent Austen Show. We'll take a break. We come back. Is LeBron done in L.A.? I mean, what's the latest? What's the next? Could he just say I'm done, or how much more is left?
Oh, he's got some left in the tank.
For LeBron James, the Lakers are now out. Check in on the NHL and NBA playoffs, and then back to football before we put a bow on the show. And a big month ahead as we flip to May tomorrow. Schedule release, stadium deal. Maybe it's a Trevor deal. And then, of course, OTAs and rookie minicamp. We know that's happening in the month of May. It's a new logo, new branding, but with Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. And with that comes the perks we miss in the big business world. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained and they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at boldcityac.com. The folks at Bold City Heating and Air also know your AC unit is important and can be a big expense. That's why they have financing to help. No payments, no interest for 12 months on new systems. $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at boldcityac.com. Homegrown in your hometown. Bold City Heating and Air.
Do you have ugly concrete around your home or business? Are you tired of concrete that is cracked, stained, or just plain ugly? Spartan Coatings' range of products provides a surface that is non-porous, easy to clean, antibacterial, and slip-resistant, all with superior durability.
Living in Florida nearly my whole life, I know the toll our weather can take on a garage floor. That's why I had Matt and the crew from Spartan Coatings transform this space. And the best part, they did it in one day.
It was a professional process from step one. The polyurea and polyaspartic system provides superior flexibility, is 4 times stronger than epoxy coatings, and will withstand temperatures high and low. Plus, it comes with a 20-year warranty. Whether it's a garage floor, patio, pool deck, driveway, or your interior flooring, Spartan Coatings has you covered. To get started transforming your ugly concrete surfaces, call 904-671-3930 or visit SpartanCoatings.com today for your free quote.
In Northeast Florida, we love hanging out on the back patio, maybe grilling out lunch or dinner with the family, enjoying the good weather, or maybe enjoying the big game on the TV. Or maybe your favorite team in town, the Action Sports Jax team. This is great, except for when it's really hot or the bugs start coming out. But what if you didn't have to worry about that? Titan Outdoor Solutions will make your outdoor area a comfortable spot any time of the day, any time of the year. This makes too much sense. Titan Outdoor Solutions can give your home an upgrade. Customized pergolas, awnings, controlled shade, even retractable screens. The solution to beating the heat and the bugs and getting more use out of your home is Titan Outdoor Solutions. And this can even help prevent storm damage at your home. Living in Florida and living in your home is already good. Now make it great. Quality products, custom work, locally owned and operated. Visit TitanShuttersAndScreens.com or call 904-484-7580.
Hey everyone, Olivia Tasley here from Action Sports Jax to tell you all the different ways you can watch our new 24/7 network. 3 easy steps. You don't even need a pen and paper to write it down. Step number 1, download the app. Search Action News Jax in your app store either on your phone or your smart TV. Then, once you're on the app, click on that little drop-down menu in the upper left-hand corner with the 3 little lines. That'll show you these options, and boom, right here, click Action Sports Jax 24/7, and you will be brought to our continuous stream channel. That app can be accessed through all these different platforms, whether you have Roku, Fire TV, Smart TV, Apple TV, or Google TV. You can find our app. Now, if you don't have access to the app, don't worry, we still got you covered. We're across all social media platforms from Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Twitch. We have a podcast channel. Plus, check out our short reels on our TikTok. Action Sports Jax 24/7. It's on all the time and everywhere.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need String Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
I just listened to that string spot, and man, we're all over the place, and I love it. We're on the road about 8 times a month now. Some of the partnerships we've created with our Action Sports Jax 24/7 network, and that doesn't include making a stop like this over here at the University of North Florida. But tomorrow we'll be in San Marco, 1937 Spirits and Eatery, and a really cool place. I just tried it recently, and or linking up with those guys, and we look forward to our partnership with them. And they have cool day, like Florida Man specials on Wednesdays, $2 PBR.
Well, I was going to ask, are the spirits are they entombed until a certain time? Or can we bring the spirits out in the AM?
Yes, I think you can bring them out in the AM.
All right, that's
the
good.
lunch specials are good. So we'll be there. They have this backyard area, which is really cool. And so I can play some cornhole and stuff like that. It's a good party and event area. We'll tell you more about it, but we'll be there tomorrow, 1937 Spirits and Eatery in San Marco. If you haven't been, you should really try it out. And the menu, see, what I like is different sometimes, a little different taste of whatever. And the menu is different. It's not like so different that like if you don't like anything, you know, if you're not a little adventurous, you're not going to like it. I mean, it's common food, but kind of done in a different way, I would say.
I love that, man.
So you'll see it. You'll see the menu tomorrow. And we'll have some fun. Come on by for lunch if you want to try it out. And they do have some fun Wednesday specials we'll tell you all about tomorrow. And then, of course, on Friday, we'll be at Best Bet St. Augustine. And we make it to Strings a couple of times a month, too. So come on out, hang out with us for lunch. Maybe we'll get this calendar each month out there for you so you can know which dates to circle.
Let's do it, Brent. I mean, we're not on the radio anymore, so we can do whatever we want, man. So let's go and exercise some spirits tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Yeah,
I haven't asked that.
Cocktails.
You're right. Like, what I learned when I did radio, and I did not know this, that you can actually like have a beer beverage while you're doing a show on radio. Like, that's not technically illegal.
Really?
Like on TV, that would be very frowned upon.
Yeah.
But on radio, like, as long as you're not getting hammered, like during your show, is what I was always told to me. It was like, hey, yeah, you can, like, if you're at like a sports bar or wherever, you can.
I had no idea.
Yeah, that's what I was told. Now, I never did it because I have this big fear, like, even if I'm at an event, that if I'm going on TV at any time that day, I do not want to be seen with a beer in my hand or a beverage in my hand, even if it's 10 hours later, because I think you could easily get labeled in our business that way. Yeah. So I definitely don't like to do that, or don't do that. But I was surprised when that happened. But now what I don't know are the rules of the stream.
Yeah.
Maybe we can just get hammered tomorrow.
Yeah, I feel like there's no rules.
No, I am on TV tomorrow night, so I can't.
You're fine, Brent. Hand it off to Stewart or somebody else. You're fine. No, I've never I didn't know. I mean, I think we had we never tried any of the old supply that we had. We had like some sponsors.
Yeah, like Vita de Louis and stuff like that. Yeah, we never did.
The only time I ever came under an influence would have been when I was doing a morning show and I had surgery that afternoon, evening. And me being the trooper that I am, man.
You went in.
I'm going to show up. Show up the next morning, 5:30, 6 o'clock. Under the influence still of whatever narcotics I was given. And also, one arm had to push the button still because I was running the board as well. That was the bicep surgery. And still had to run the boards. And, we get through the first segment, and the second segment, my co-host just goes, "Hey, are you okay?" I go, "Not really, but we're doing it."
Not really.
Yeah. I mean, you ever get to a situation where it's like, I probably shouldn't do this, but we're already here, so let's do it? Yeah. Probably you every single day with me.
Luckily, you were just operating an audio board.
An audio board, yeah.
Well, the stories that can be told. And by the way, in that world, the radio world, you're not the first one.
Oh, no, for sure.
I think in the TV world, it's a little
more clean cut, right?
Now, not say it doesn't happen.
Okay.
And has it happened? And there have been many, like in the markets I've been at, I have no idea about the truth versus the perception or rumors that have been like, oh yeah, that guy does this or that, whatever, that. So I don't know, but there have been markets I've been in, like, that's what the story. And I always learn from that. And I don't know if that happened to me right away. I can't remember exactly where I was, but I was like, I'm not putting a drink in my hand at any event where people are going to see me, because then I think that will be the perception. Like and especially if they see you on TV that night, they'll be like, oh, he was drunk, or he was this, or he was that. Yeah. And so I was like, I'm not even touching that.
I just think of when you bring the visual element to it, and I get we're streaming and it's a visual element as well, but I think when you're on TV, like, it just, people can see you that much more, right? So that they can kind of judge you a little more. Like, I feel like on the radio, you get away with so much less.
I think you're right. Well, that's true. Well, and that's a great point, really. Like, that's probably why you could do it. Because if we were drinking on radio, like if we're doing a radio-only show, which we have not done, we always transitioned.
Man, come on, we're ahead of that. Right?
Yeah, so we never did that. But if you were on a radio-only show, then people don't even know. Yeah, no different than you're drinking water.
Yeah, exactly.
So again, as long as you're not getting hammered, that's probably why it was like okay.
Yeah.
Like I'll listen to some people out of Nashville sometimes, and they'll do like this. They have this on Sirius XM. They have this happy hour show. Okay. So they do it from a place in Nashville. Okay, and that's a pretty popular thing. I think people like wait in line for it and stuff to go in, and then they have artists that come in. Yeah. But like that dude's like, I think he's always taking like shots, like while he's doing it. I think he's talking about it. I don't know if he's actually doing it, but I think he's always taking.
Yeah.
And so it's like by the end of that night, I have no idea what that guy, like what his BAC is.
Yeah. So I mean, since we're going on this rabbit hole now of radio, real quick, I'd be remiss if I didn't tell this story. I don't know if this is more of a Midwest thing, but did you ever hear like the Rick D's open house party? Did you ever have that?
No.
So Rick D's, he's like a Casey Kasem, right? It was like a nightly radio music hour or whatever, but it was called the open house party. And like the way that it came across was like he's at a house party and there's people in the background. It's a big event.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I thought like, wow, this guy's cool. Like he wants to go to different people's houses and he plays music and everything. And this is sad, I only found this out like 4 or 5 years ago when I got into the morning radio gig. Turns out, no, that was all fabricated. That was all BS.
Backyard.
It was just Rick D's in a studio with a bunch of buttons pressing people yelling. And I'm like, my entire childhood is ruined because I thought Rick D's was at these parties going crazy with the kids. Nah, man, it's just him pushing buttons.
Listen,
it's disappointing, Brent.
You did that we did that to you in Miami at Super Bowl with the fight promo.
Do we have to go through that again?
No, I think everybody knows.
Okay,
Most people know.
Good. Okay.
Basically, there was a fight promo that looked like Austen had no idea it was staged until it was staged.
Oh, it was staged.
And he was so disappointed.
Tony Khan would have been there and been like, even that looks a little too staged for my liking. That's what Tony Khan would have said.
But your example of the radio one, you did that to me actually when you went over and did some radio stuff, and I had no idea about some of that. And I won't give up all the secrets
here.
The secrets. But I had no idea some of that stuff.
Oh yeah, man.
On the radio side was like manufactured.
Yeah.
To your point, like I don't know who you're talking about there, but that was what it was. It's just like this, and maybe the stream has like blocked that curtain from happening. Or open that, like now you can't hide behind the curtain.
Sure.
Because radio you could, but so many things are now on video. Like you can't get away. You couldn't get away with something like that. Like if we have 4 people at at Best Bet St. Augustine, you're going to see 4 people.
Yeah.
If we have 40 people, you see 40. If we have 400, we'll have 4. By the way, we don't want 400. They probably won't mind it. I don't know if I want 400 people. So like 30, 40.
Well,
cool.
And reminder, we're not bringing kids here either. This is
it is 18 and older now.
All right, now maybe Brent can have a little daycare clinic in the back, but until that time, it's not going to happen.
But we also don't want 4 people down there at Best Bet St. Augustine.
No, it's a good point.
So come on down.
But no, I get what you're saying, Brent, in terms of, there is really no hiding from what we're doing. But I kind of appreciate that a little more because to me it's more genuine. Like this is why I'm never going to be a quote-unquote influencer ever, because I can't put on the facade of like, hey, we're doing this bit. I promise it's real, wink, wink, and it's not. Man, like, whether you like us or hate us, what you get is what you get.
Yeah, and you're going to
100% all natural. Yeah.
Delphonic. Brent, stop drinking coffee in public so people don't think you're caffeined up. You don't know what's in that coffee. No, you don't. Hey, speaking of old men, LeBron James.
Yeah.
I don't even know if we're speaking of old men, but now we are.
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's ask this question, Brent. If you're a team, I'm trying to think, a team like the Hawks, or even like a team like the Knicks, I don't know, any team that's kind of on the cusp of maybe,
they're a player or two away, or
exactly. And the Knicks are doing great right now. Don't get me wrong. Like, do you risk LeBron coming to you for maybe a year or 2 years? Like, do you give up draft capital? Do you give up maybe a younger player who could have some potential to get a LeBron James for maybe 1 or 2 years? You draft his son, and you see what happens? Or do you just kind of wash your hands of everything and say, LeBron, I love you. I know you're bringing tickets and everything. You're the biggest name in basketball, but I just can't fathom you on our team. Like, where do you sit with that?
Well, I think I'm like, bring him on. I'm more of a LeBron fan than critic. And I still think he's playing a lot of high-level basketball.
He is.
What I don't know if you can do is settle. Let's just take your Knicks example, because I think that's a really good one. And the Knicks, who have been, they're never irrelevant because they're the Knicks. But from a performance standpoint, they've been irrelevant for like 20-something years until the last couple. They finally started.
Now they're doing great.
All the Brunson story might be one of the best stories going, and probably still isn't getting the attention that it should get across the sports platforms. But you do take a team like that isn't like championship built. I don't feel like they're championship built in New York.
We'll see. Yeah.
We'll find out. Yeah. But You could add a player like that. Not only that, you could get it buzzing in New York, like to a different level. There's part of that in New York. Now, there might not be part of that in Oklahoma City or New Orleans, but it might be part of that in New York. And you add him, and you maybe make a guy like Brunson even better, or your parts even better. The thing I have a question with at this stage of his career is, can he do that? Can he not be the guy? Can he settle back in and still be very good, but be more complimentary to a player like Brunson, who now might be the star? Because I think the Knicks are a good example of that. Can he take that back seat? Because here's the thing. I don't believe you want him driving the bus anymore and being the guy. Because I'm not sure you're good enough if he's your best guy.
Correct. And one would argue that Anthony Davis, even in these playoffs, was maybe the best guy. I mean, Anthony
you can't argue that.
Had one of his best seasons this year because he was healthy.
Yep.
So I get what you're saying there. I just think of, and listen, I know I'm really critical of LeBron sometimes, and probably overcritical, and this is coming from a guy who has 3 LeBron James jerseys in his house, at his mom's house from when he was in high school and grade school, because I was a giant LeBron fan, don't get me wrong. And yes, I've seen the stats compared to how old LeBron is right now and when Jordan was playing with the Wizards, of how much LeBron is dominating every single number compared to Michael Jordan. Yes, I've seen all the numbers, thank you very much. At the end of the day, though, if I'm going to bring in LeBron James, Brent, it's got to be on a team that is ready to win right now. Like, I'm not going to necessarily bring him into the Hawks. I'm not going to necessarily bring him into the Pelicans. Like, the Knicks makes a lot of sense because maybe they are a player away from making that. I still like Boston. Okay, I still like Boston's the toast of the East right now. But maybe they are just one player. Maybe they are LeBron James away from going. So if that's the case, then yeah, it makes a lot of sense. But I'm not going to sell the farm. I'm not going to give up a lot of draft capital. I'm not going to trade maybe a promising young player for LeBron James if I get him for maybe 1 or 2 years and my team's not on the doorstep of making some noise in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think he can help. I think he can help you win. And again, there is a little bit of a blockbuster ticket available to him still. Like, I'd still go watch LeBron play.
Absolutely.
And again, he's not falling off. It doesn't feel like he's fallen off to like, oh gosh, please just retire stage.
No one's saying that.
But I think he's getting crankier and crankier. You know what I mean? I do.
You say that like but he's not a grandpa. Like the word cranky, I reserve for like old.
No, but I think here's my point of that. I think you get crankier and more excuse-driven, or at least what's going on as your skills deteriorate a little bit. I wonder if he's feeling that, and therefore he's amped up the other side of it. It could just be we see it more, people showcase it more. They love to hate on LeBron, too. Yeah. So, like, there's a little bit of that. I mean, even did you see a little antic the other day, last night, right?
Yeah,
Denver.
Yeah, with the lady.
I think frustration. Listen, there's a level of these guys that I don't even think we know and can fully appreciate when they know what good is versus what we think good is. We think good is 35 points. They can take 35 points and say, I should have had 60 that night. Like, they know he knows what his top of the game is. He knows that he's declining probably in some ways, even if it's not as fast as we think from the outside. Sure. And I just feel like sometimes some of that angst, frustration, crankiness, whininess comes from that.
Well, no, and you know what? And to me, there's 2 different stories with LeBron James. There's LeBron James, the player who still plays at a very high level. I would call him top 10 in the NBA, and I'd give that to him all day. And it's props to him for that. But then there's also LeBron James, the roster constructor.
Yeah.
Right? And this is where I feel like all the negativity comes from.
And probably rightfully so.
And this is where kind of a little bit of my harshness sometimes can come from is, listen, you want to sit here and call, man, the Lakers, it's Anthony Davis, it's LeBron James, but where are their role players? Where's the help on the bench? Where's all this stuff? Well, you traded it all away because, LeBron said you should probably trade it all away. So at the end of the day, I can sit here and watch LeBron drop 30, dish out 10 assists, get AD involved, AD playing at the highest level, and that's great. But I also can't delete the fact that you wanted what you wanted here. I get, man, you're playing your heart out and everything, but, you asked for this.
Yeah.
You asked for this roster. You asked for this team. And what you got is what you got. So what's good? It's not fair to let this affect LeBron's legacy, because I don't think it does. But also it stands out in the fact of you wanted these people gone. You wanted these people here. You have them. And what did you do with it?
See, I think it's even bigger than that. When he went to L.A., and a lot of people say he's going to L.A. because of the movie stuff and everything else. See, it's more. He's got everything going on. It's not just that. It's not that he's just trying to play. And by the way, he does a fantastic job getting himself ready to play, focused in on playing. But he does have the family stuff. He is worried about his son, especially after this year, what happened with his son at USC early on.
Yeah.
And now he's worried about the movie stuff and the entertainment stuff and the life after basketball stuff. And he's got to be the GM. Nobody can do all those things well.
Yeah.
Nobody.
But why don't
it's
you
actually astonishing he's played as well as he has, given all those things. So he spread. It's not. I don't think it's just the personnel stuff. I think it's the fact that it's got all this stuff. He's almost got too much going on. I know he has a lot of people helping and stuff, but you get your hand in too many things, in my opinion. By the way, Celtics are up 3-1. Thunder sweep. The one thing about the Lakers-Nuggets series is a very entertaining series. There's a possession here or there.
Yep.
Like the Lakers weren't that far off.
The Lakers were ahead like predominantly every single game,
series.
and then obviously Jamal Murray comes out and has different plans. So,
he wasn't even going to play, and he had 32 in that game.
Yep.
The Knicks series looks like it's over, going back to New York 3-1. The Indiana Pacers lead 3-1. The Bucks have a chance.
Not really. I mean, not with Dame Lillard and Giannis both out, and that's just. It was an experiment with Dame Lillard that Brent didn't really work out that well.
Yeah, and we kind of wanted it, like for years and years, not just in Milwaukee, but get out of Portland, see where else you could play, and it tried it in Milwaukee and it didn't work.
Drew Holiday, I hope you're doing well in Boston. We miss you.
Hey, maybe one of the best series going. The Magic and the Cavs tied at 2, and big pivotal game in Cleveland tonight. That will be game at number 5. Quick thought, just to get to on the NHL. I've been having a lot of hockey on in my house. Ty's been locked in to the hockey playoffs.
Toronto Maple Leafs. I got to say this because you know how I feel about them. Toronto Maple Leafs. You're going to Toronto Maple Leafs. They're down 3-1 right now.
3-1.
They might lose the whole thing tonight.
Extend their misery.
Oh yeah. The factory of sadness.
Carolina up 3-1 on the Islanders. They are a team that's very dangerous. Colorado leads the Jets 3-1. They've won 3 games in a row in that series. The Canucks lead the Preds.
Panthers looking really tough.
3-1. They actually won. They clinched it over the Lightning. So Florida's very good, and Dallas and the Golden Knights are tied at 2.
Obviously. I mean, I don't want to call him a friend because he's never been on the show yet, but I've been propping him up with nonstop. But when we talk about the Edmonton Oilers, probably going to win their series now against the LA Kings, and thank God because it's the LA Kings.
Edmonton's up 3-1.
Edmonton's up 3-1 right now, and the best hockey player in the world, Brent, and I can't say it enough. And I don't think he gets enough respect as we deserve, but we have no problem talking about Rory McIlroy singing Don't Stop Believing at a karaoke bar.
What did Connor McDavid do?
Well, I mean, Connor McDavid had 5 assists the first game against the Kings. Is that good?
That's pretty good.
Is 5 assists all right or not?
Yeah, he had 100 on the season.
To set the scene real quick, too, about how good Connor McDavid is, if you take the best player from the Kings that's watching this, I think he had like 70-something points or 80 points the whole season. Connor McDavid, goals and assists, it's like 120 or 30.
Yeah, 132, I think it is.
Pretty good, Brett.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
No, he's very good. So
Connor McDavid, I'm going to keep on saying your praise until we get more respect on this show.
I would just say this. I'm not telling you that the first round of both NHL and NBA playoffs have been bad. There's still been a lot of entertainment in the games, but series-wise, we're not getting the push. Like, there's been a lot of 3-1, 4-1, 4-love.
Yeah, for real.
Near a tennis court, so why not throw a little 4-love in there? All right, let's do this. We got to take one more time out, Rob. When we do that, we'll come back. I want to put a bow on the show just to update everybody on the Zay Jones situation. Zay Jones cut. The Jaguars make some moves today. What does it mean? We'll just have our thoughts if you missed them throughout the day. And maybe even get to a comment or two about what everybody's saying about Zay Jones being released by the Jacksonville Jaguars after a couple of years with the Jags and Trevor Lawrence. A really good 2022, a disappointing injury-riddled 2023. We'll be back from the University of North Florida on the Action Sports Shacks 24/7 network right after this. Everyone loves a good game night. Here you don't have to be the host. You don't have to clean up. They bring the food and drinks to you, and you can watch whatever you want on the big screens. It's more than a card room. It's a night full of fun with friends. Best Bet Jacksonville, Orange Park, and now the newest location here in St. Augustine, right off 95 at exit 311. A brand new clean room, a full bar and menu, my favorite sushi in town. And I love the fries too. You don't have to just play poker at Best Bet. That's why I come over here to the table games and play one card poker. That's a pretty good card and a win. One card poker is like war as a kid. You against the dealer. And this isn't the only fun table game to play. A friendly staff, a lot of fun, it's a good night out at Best Bet Jacksonville Orange Park in the newest location in St. Augustine. You can be a serious player or a novice. It doesn't matter. If winning equals fun, you're a winner every time at Best Bet. I'll save you a seat, and I'll see you down here at Best Bet St. Augustine.
Do you have ugly concrete around your home or business? Are you tired of concrete that is cracked, stained, or just plain ugly? Spartan Coatings' range of products provides a surface that is non-porous, easy to clean, antibacterial, and slip-resistant, all with superior durability.
Living in Florida nearly my whole life, I know the toll our weather can take on a garage floor. That's why I had Matt and the crew from Spartan Coatings transform this space. And the best part, they did it in one day.
It was a professional process from step one. The polyurea and polyaspartic system provides superior flexibility, is 4 times stronger than epoxy coatings, and will withstand temperatures high and low. Plus, it comes with a 20-year warranty. Whether it's a garage floor, patio, pool deck, driveway, or your interior flooring, Spartan Coatings has you covered. To get started transforming your ugly concrete surfaces, call 904-671-3930 or visit SpartanCoatings.com today for your free quote.
I like to say everybody has a story, and sometimes we're a part of other people's stories. That's the case here at Nimnicht Buick GMC. My family and the Nimnicht family. We've purchased 6 different vehicles from Nimnicht Buick GMC. Maybe you're in the market for a truck. Well, let me tell you about the GMC Sierra. I absolutely love mine. I've had a couple of these. This one's a 2020, but right now on 2024 GMC Sierras here at Nimnicht Buick GMC, there's special financing. A year ago, we purchased a GMC Terrain for the kids. Financing rates as low as 0.9% for eligible buyers on Terrains and no payments for 90 days. Looking for used instead of new? Buy a used car with the Car Bravo program. Nimnicht Buick GMC certifies all makes and models. Let the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville take care of you and your family. Come on out and see the showroom, meet the fantastic people, or shop online at nimnichtbuickgmc.com. Nimnicht, your friends in the car business since 1941. GMC, we are professional grade.
Thank you for making Action News Jax the best in Jax and Folio's Best of Jax 2023. Best TV station, Best TV newscast, Best TV morning show. Chandler Morgan voted Best TV anchor. The Chief, Mike Burrish, voted Best meteorologist. And Brent Martineau voted Best TV sports anchor. And while you're on the go, Best news website and Best local blog, The Burrish Blog. Thank you for making Action News Jax local coverage you can count on.
It's a new logo, new branding, but with Bold City Heating and Air, it's an old school approach. One of the few locally owned and operated air conditioning businesses left in Jacksonville. And with that comes the perks we miss in the big business world. It's every customer counts kind of service, from when these trucks have pulled up to my home over the last couple of years and when they pull into your driveway as well. From communication to pricing to the actual service, everyone at Bold City Heating and Air cares about you. You know who's coming to your house. You know they will be well trained. And they will respect your home. Air conditioning convenience at BoldCityAC.com. The folks at Bold City Heating and Air also know your AC unit is important and can be a big expense. That's why they have financing to help. No payments, no interest for 12 months on new systems. $50 off any repairs. Stay safe, stay comfortable with Bold City Heating and Air at BoldCityAC.com. Homegrown in your hometown. Bold City Heating and Air.
When you think sports, you think Action Sports Jax, the official station of the Jaguars, on location for every game. But the most experienced team in town doesn't stop there. From high school football to the big events in the area, Action Sports Jax is always on. Now, we take that to a new level. Action Sports Jax 24/7 is around-the-clock coverage of the teams you love and the moments you can't miss. The best local sports in Jacksonville on Action Sports Jax 24/7.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
All right, let's put a bow on this show with a conversation about what happened at the start of this show. Nothing bad, by the way. Just Zay Jones cut, Joey Sly as well. The kicker, the Jaguars save a handful $1 million in cap space and even more in actual cash with the move on Zay Jones, who I think was due $11 million this year. And not a surprise move. For most people, I was a little bit more taken aback by it today. I didn't see that coming today. I thought there's even a chance they would keep him from a depth standpoint because of the minimum savings on the cap. But we talked through it. A lot of logic involved, too. Now the Jags are going to have to grow some young depth, maybe with these undrafted free agents and guys that they already have on their roster, Parker Washington and others, and give them a chance, if needed, behind those top three guys in Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, and now Brian Thomas Jr.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you know who your starters are going to be, but depth is important because knock on wood, injuries do happen. So obviously Parker Washington or somebody else got to step up, and, we'll find that out in training camp.
And one other, I just think it's important to say this. You had said when they got Gabe Davis, and I found this interesting, it just keeps sticking with me. Said, well, he's Zay Jones. So this wasn't like even a Brian Thomas move for you. This was more the Gabe Davis move that kind of triggered probably the end of Zay Jones in Jacksonville.
Correct. Yeah, I'm not to say that they're the exact same player, but, I mean, it's big play Zay, number one, and I think Gabe Davis, you would argue that, in terms of if you watched his career unfold in Buffalo, there's the games where he'll have like over 200 yards receiving, those 2 or 3 touchdown type of games, and kind of fall off a little bit. I think Gabe Davis is brought in here for those big plays, and not to say Brian Thomas Jr. can't do that, and to say Christian Kirk can't do that as well. But the calling card of Gabe Davis is the big play ability, and I think a lot of Zay Jones' game was also that same thing.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is how their whole wide receiver offseason unfolded. Christian Kirk's going to be here. You don't know what you're doing with Calvin Ridley. Mm-hmm. You end up getting Gabe Davis almost as a security blanket, but maybe you were doing that even if you thought you had landed Calvin Ridley. Yeah. Ridley, you don't get tagged. Ridley, you don't get done. He goes to Tennessee. Then the Ayuk stuff happens. Then the Higgins stuff happens. Well, those things fall through, even if I don't know how much it happened, but we think it was at least in the conversation.
Yeah.
So, therefore, you don't move Zay Jones because, wait a minute, now we're striking out on Ridley. We're striking out on a possible Ayuk or Higgins. We better have Zay because this is our fallback option if we don't get in the draft what we had. It's almost like it's a good thing probably when they entered the offseason that they landed on a Brian Thomas Jr. in this draft.
Yeah, no, for sure. You had to do that or else then you're going to have a lot of question marks.
Well, I mean, they could go with Zay Jones, but it's certainly clear they wanted to upgrade their receiver room.
Yeah, exactly. And that was even with Calvin Ridley. You saw that. They wanted to bring Calvin Ridley back. You knew what the game was here, Brent.
All right, so Zay Jones and Joey Sly, those guys are cut, and that's the big story here today. Wednesday, we'll be back at it 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. from 1937 Spirits and Eatery in San Marco. Come out and hang out with us.
I'm going to start calling our producer Bleak Bills, I think.
Bleak Bills?
Bleak Bills, because you know why? He's about that money.
All right, nice job, Rob. Have a good day, everybody.